.291 on base average of .365. He's 3 for 9 in this series, having scored a couple of runs. Chiron Martis is ready. And 2 minutes late at 1:37, the first pitch of the game, skied to left. Long run for Willingham. Josh is there. Overcast skies, 83 degrees here at Nationals Park. I can tell you the humidity's up there a little bit. Jim Reynolds, 10-year veteran, has the plate today. Angel Hernandez at first, Bill Welke at second, and the crew chief Tim Welke is at third. Adam Jones, like Roberts, 3 for 9 in the series, 3 RBIs. Orioles have the top 3 run scorers as the first 3 guys in their lineup. And of course, that's on the American League chart. Welcome back to the booth, Jim Palmer, Rob Dibble. You guys were cool, calm, and collected down there.
Oh, yeah. It was cool down there.
We might have been calm and collected, but not cool. Well, we know
Jim's
where we
sweating
rank.
a lot more than I am, though, because I tried to think cool thoughts. I'm in Alaska. I'm on top of a glacier.
And a ball out to left center. Outfielders looking at each other, and finally Willie Harris tells Willingham, "I've got it." And a couple of quick outs for Chiron Martis.
Let's give you the PNC Bank scouting report here. Watch the walks. His complete game, he didn't have any walks in that. 79 strikes, 110 pitches. Very strong at home in his career, 4-1. And when he changes eye levels, changeups down and away, fastballs up all over the place, in, out, up, down, he does very well. So he needs to keep changing the eye level of the Oriole hitters.
Nick Markakis, interesting. He's 1 for 10 in the series with 1 RBI. But the Orioles have found a couple of ways to win.
Well, that RBI really shouldn't have been an RBI. It was a jam shot that Willie Harris doesn't cover second base. As you mentioned, Rob doesn't play a lot of second base. Zimmerman makes a nice play. There's no place to go, and he beats out a bases loaded hit last night. Otherwise, the Orioles, they don't win that ball game.
But I've been very impressed by their bullpen. Their bullpen had been struggling, or yours, and ours had been struggling. But the Orioles bullpen's been fantastic the last 2 days.
What, 1 run in 12 1/3 innings?
That ball well hit to right. Dunn going back. It's going to stay in the ballpark. And Adam Dunn makes his play of the year up against the scoreboard. Pardon me, Austin. Is that Austin Kearns? Wow. And thanks to a great play by Austin Kearns, it's a scoreless top of the first inning. On the mound is Brad Bergeson for the Orioles, 33-24 in the minor leagues, and Jim Palmer, his 7th major league start.
Yeah, and he's actually pitched very well. Only won his first game. That was a game against the White Sox where he went 5 2/3 innings. 3 of the other 5, he's gotten at least 6 innings, and he got into the 7th inning against the Yankees. Not overpowering. He's got a slider. He's got a changeup, and when he is pitching well, will sink the ball. That is how he had success at the minor league. Last year 15-6 at Double-A, and this year started at Triple-A Norfolk.
Willie Harris is in the leadoff spot. Guzman was originally slated to lead off. Guzman will bat second. And then we expect Zimmerman, Dunn, Willingham to be intact, and probably Kearns batting 6th. We were not told of any lineup changes, folks, so sorry about the call on Dunn/Kearns. And evidently Manny Acton knows what he's doing. Willie Harris leads off the game with a double.
Take a look at our PNC scouting report and Bragg Bergeson. Well, you pretend it's not a night game, because they're actually a day game, because they don't play very well. They're 2-10. Pretend it's not a series finale, because they're 2-12, and then the Orioles trying to get to 5-5 on this 10-day road trip. They would love to go home happy. As we were doing our on camera, I talked to Manny Acton. He said, I would love to have a nice train ride up to New York. So we have maybe some conflicting things going on between Dave Tremblay and Manny Acton. Both want nice, pleasant rides home.
Well, right now the Nationals are 1-9 on this homestand. In a very difficult time for the Nationals. I wanted to ask you, hot, humid day like today, do you try to throw less pitches, be more economical, get ground balls, fly balls, so you can go deeper into the ball game?
No, I think we talked about this a little bit last night. And if you pitch in this region, in the Northeast, it's going to be hot and humid, and maybe it's starting a little bit early on Memorial Day, because it's up there. But that's just part of your conditioning phase. And again, you try to, as an athlete, whether you're a manager or whatever, you try to control as many things, as many variables you can control. And again, when I had the luxury of playing for Cal Ripken Sr., and he talked about work ethic, and your conditioning is one of those ethics that you can control on a daily basis.
Well, my teammate Randy Myers, because it could be 130, 35, 140 on the turf during day games. He would ride the stationary bike, and he was strange because you had him here with the Orioles. He would ride the stationary bike in the sauna for a half-hour a day. So, you're dead on with that. I mean, try to control what you can control. He's a 1-inning-a-night guy, a closer, and he's in there riding the bike in the sauna where it's 150, 200 degrees.
And he's left-handed, so that kind of explains some of those actions.
1-1 to Guzman, looking to move that runner. He will, with a ground ball to the right of Brian Roberts. Willie Harris to third, 1 out here in the first.
Take a look at the Oriole defense, which will be tested because of the situational hitting by Guzman. Reimold, Jones, Markakis, that's pretty much what we've seen the last week. Wigington with Moore getting the afternoon off, at least initially, at third. Andino for his Taurus. They got him from the Marlins at the end of spring training. Roberts Huff last night, the key triple pinch hitting, and then Chad Moeller behind. And there is Robert Andino, comes out of the Marlin organization. Hayden Penn, 5th round draft choice, was traded down to the Marlins because he was out of options. So they get Andino, and he's playing shortstop.
RBI chance for Ryan Zimmerman, who's driven in 34 runs this year, 5th best in the National League, and he is the Washington team leader in that category by 1 over Adam Dunn. I don't know what happened with Nick Johnson. If that ball hits the ground, the Nats will score. But Roberts goes over and gets it in the air, and nothing at all the runner Willie Harris could do at third base. So the Nationals Southwest.com lineup. We are told now that the Nationals changed their lineup basically as the team took the field. Nick Johnson pulled out of the number 2 spot. Harris and Guzman bumped up and down respectively. Kearns added, and Ryan Zimmerman, who just made the out, a rather unexpected failure to get the job done with a runner at third and 1 out. It'll be up to Adam Dunn, who's had 2 hits and a walk in this series, 2 for 8, to get Washington that 2-out run. 1 ball, 1 strike on the fastball way upstairs.
I think the one surprising number, you know, the Orioles are hitting so well. I mean, they hit over 300 in both of the 2 months, April and May, with runners in scoring position, is that how you can be third in the National League in runs scored and yet only hitting 247 as a team. So right here, Dunn has to pick up Zimmerman, which he's certainly capable of doing. But that's amazing. It tells you how good an offense they have. It just, if that runner in scoring position number comes up over the next 4 months, they won't be able to, at least you would think, maintain the fact that they can score runs on a nightly basis with the best of the teams in the National League.
Yeah, right now only the Phillies and the Dodgers, a couple of teams in first place in their divisions, have scored more runs than the last place Nationals.
And don't you think it's hard to compare any team in the National League to the Phillies because of the size of that ballpark? I mean, you know, it's just it's a hitter's ballpark, and
but they came in here and were mashing balls. I mean, Ibanez was hitting them out to right center field out there. Ryan Howard hit one opposite field. I mean, I think they can hit home runs anyway.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that.
And the top of their order is ridiculous. Yeah. Shane Victorino, Utley, you get to Howard, Ibanez. And
when they left here,
Jason
Raul Ibanez was batting third with Utley second. They took Victorino and
moved him down in the order.
I'll tell you, those first 4 guys, Rollins, Utley, Ibanez, and Howard, name 4 better guys than any lineup in baseball.
Yeah, what? Ibanez has 17 home runs. It took him all the way to August 4th last year to hit his 17th home run.
1-2 to Adam Dunn. He'll hit one hard. A one-hopper, Aubrey Huff. And the Orioles have flashed some very good gloves in this series. Leadoff double, and Washington does not score. American Classic scratch-off tickets from the Maryland Lottery. For every Orioles home run hit in today's game, you can have a chance to win. Enter by logging on to MASNsports.com. Sharon Martis, second inning of work, 8 pitches, 5 strikes in his first frame. So things happen quickly with a fly ball to each outfielder. And Austin Kearns, fantastic play, took 2, maybe 3 bases away from Nick Markakis. That ball's well hit, and Kearns won't catch that one. Maybe 2 feet from leaving the ballpark. He's got a great arm. Throw to second. A little bit late. Leadoff double, Aubrey Huff. He had the big hit going the other way with an RBI triple in the 7th inning last night.
Well, look at your famous Daves right here, the Exmo. And again, what's the key to hitting? Get the bat head to the ball. 1 for 18 before that triple, and he just misses a home run by a couple of feet. And then it's a pretty good combination for the Nationals. Slow runner and good arm, and Kearns almost throws him out.
And it's tough because that's like a mesh wire screen fence out there in between the padding.
Yeah, signal in Baltimore with the wall, if it comes off true like it usually does, very difficult to stretch that into a double in Baltimore.
I spoke with Ron Vallone about the triple that he gave up to Aubrey Huff last night, and he said, listen, I've tried to get that guy out with fastballs, breaking balls, change-ups, and he's hit everything. And he thought last night, I'll go at him hard. I'll go fastballs low, fastballs up. And he just happened to get that one up and away, and Hoff hit it. So,
yeah, the first one was up and in, and he swung right through it, and then up out over the plate to hit the triple.
So Aubrey Huff kind of has Ron Ballone's number.
Huff and Wigginton both in the lineup today, with Melvin Mora having the day off. Wigginton 0 for 6 in this series and batting just .221.
And it appears that, I guess in a sense I'm a kind of a traditionalist, but it seems these first 2 games could have gone either way, because it's a pitch here or a play here or maybe situational hitting there.
That's playable for Adam Dunn. Looking back over his shoulder. Good base running play by Huff to get to third with 1 out.
And Martis has to get behind third on that play.
Yeah, a little lazy right there. Again, inexperienced, only 22. We used to run this play first and third. You can always get the runner from first to go to second because the runner at third will tag up, but it's good heads up base running. Again, probably more foul territory here than in Baltimore. And
Martis goes to chase down the foul ball. He goes over. There's no reason to be near first base on the foul ball. He's got to get in between home and third, depending on where Huff is, to make sure if that throw goes through that Huff can't score.
And I'm sure Randy St. Clair will say something, but it's kind of interesting kind of watch his eyes as he saw the throw sail over his head.
But I also think he was thinking, you know what, maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else on this play.
No doubt. So the same situation for the Orioles that Zimmerman had in the first. And he couldn't deliver as Brian Roberts made a nice play at second base.
Nolan Raimold 4 RBIs in his first 36 major league at bats. Playing in his 10th ball game, 2 for 9 with a home run in this series on Friday night.
Well, Rob, you see Martis on a regular basis. It seems to me he'll throw his changeup in any count, so that's got to be in the back of your mind.
Like I said last night, you know, whether it's Detweiler or, you know, Stammen, any of these guys, I've never seen 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, even 25-year-olds that have mastered the changeup like these gentlemen have. So somebody's doing a great job at the lower level. And this kid, like you said, it could be 3-0, 3-1. He'll throw a changeup.
That's a breaking ball that ends up way outside, and Raimold could not reach it.
He's got an excellent breaking ball, as Bob just said right there. And he'll change speeds with that also. And that's what I was talking about with eye level. Look at this breaking ball drop out. Northrop Grumman on the pitch track, but drops off and out of the zone. And that's where you want to make mistakes, down and away to right-handers. He's got very fluid mechanics. He's real quiet. Finishes strong. Watch him get over that front leg. All the momentum coming towards home. Pretty good fielder out there too.
But he's about 6'1", a little bit over 200 pounds, so solidly built.
He got him on the corner. Raimold couldn't pull the trigger, thought it was outside. Martis, not a strikeout pitcher, picks a good time for that. It's his 24th strikeout in 48 innings.
Well, it appeared to me that this pitch was called a ball early on, so he might think it's outside, and it is by maybe a quarter of an inch. But again, it's a pitcher's pitch. Hot day, getaway day. So if you're around the strike zone, and my first manager, Hank Bauer, said if it's close enough to call, it is close enough with a runner at third to swing at.
Here's Chad Moeller, had a base hit in his start on Friday night, hitting .205. Fastball unable to reach it. 92 on that one.
The thing I love about Martis too, he's a lot, and I'm not going to say compare him to Johan Santana, but he will throw changeups, a right-hander to a right-hander, and Santana will throw changeups lefty on lefty, which is not by the book. That's not what you want to do. But he's got so much confidence that he can keep it down. He does it all the time.
Had the hitter reaching. That's trouble, but Guzman gets there. Close play, and the Orioles fall a little bit short. So each team has had a leadoff double and failed to score here in the early innings.
plays. This defense will tell you they love playing behind Brad Bergeson because he keeps a very quick, fast-paced game. But pitching coach Rick Kranitz told me, much like a lot of young pitchers, that Bergeson can tend to pitch a little too quick sometimes, and that's an indicator that mentally the game is speeding up for him. Now, to Bergeson's credit, his past couple outings, he's shown the ability to slow down. Chad Moeller told me he's going to be keeping an eye on his pitcher, and if he thinks the game's getting a little fast for him, he'll make a visit to the mound and even crack a joke and say, hey, look, your reservations will still be there for dinner. Just slow down. We're not trying to make record time here. And knowing Bergeson, he has a great personality. He'll keep it light, slow it down, and get back in the game. Bob?
Thank you, Amber. And he was a winner in the minor leagues, 32-23. In his first 5 years, he had made 2 starts before debuting as an Oriole and won that debut on April 21st against the White Sox. 1 earned run in nearly 6 innings. Josh Willingham for Washington, 1-4 and a walk in the series, hitting at .213 but an on-base average of .352. And over his last 9 games, Willingham getting on base 42% of the time. Yeah, this is a lineup, Jim, that features a lot of guys 380, 400 on base averages.
Yeah, I mean, they're what? They're 4th in the National League in on-base percentage. That's what they do so much better than the Orioles. They score, they're what, 3rd in runs, 4th in batting average, 4th in on-base percentage. Orioles are 9th, and they are up there in on-base percentage. That's the amazing thing. I mean, the one thing, again, you factor in a little bit better hitting with runners in scoring position, this offense will even get better. And the one thing about Brad Bergeson, and I know, Rob, you had a great slider, but out of his hand sometimes the slider's a ball, so it's not that effective.
Well, he looks like he drops down a little bit more sometimes to try to get some elevation on the fastball, and it flattens out the slider.
Willingham right up the middle.
We talked about that with Julian Tavares, that when you get underneath the slider, you're just going to spin it like a saucer, and you need to get on top of that pitch a little bit more. And being 3/4 myself, and he's a little bit sidearm, looks like he likes to drop down on lefties a little bit and try to throw 93 up chest high with it. Yeah,
the numbers, you know, it's kind of interesting when you look at Brad. You would think that he'd have trouble with lefties. Righties came in hitting 362, lefties only 269, so more trouble with the Josh Willinghams of the world.
Ronnie Belliard waiting for the first pitch with Willingham aboard, 2nd consecutive leadoff hit for Washington. And Debbie Taylor, a very, very late change to the Nats lineup. What happened with Nick Johnson?
Well, that's right, Bob. Manny had to do some maneuvering. Nick is okay. He just didn't feel good, so they had to do a bunch of changes in the lineup.
Changing the 1st, 2nd, 6th, and 7th spot.
Well, let's hope he's all right, but I tell you what, maybe he's tired. He's been getting on base so much.
They didn't trade him to the Mets, did they? And they just haven't told us? Oh, I'm kidding.
Now, come on, Dibs.
You know I love Nick. Red Sox for Del Carmen. There's all kinds of.
Well, Mike Rizzo told us that was, I don't know how that ever came about.
Right.
The general manager.
You know how that came about.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Ronnie Belliard was bunting for a hit. Wigginton was about 15 feet behind the bag at 3rd. And the count now 0-2 on Ronnie Belliard, batting a $183.
Yeah, if you're going to bunt, you want to do it on the first strike because then you at least get him to play in. Now he's going back to where he was, which is back in double, hopefully double, at least for the Orioles, double play position.
Yeah, and they've done that quite well. They've turned 4 double plays in the first 2 games of this series. Belliard takes a fastball high.
The Orioles hit play on a very slow surface, infield while in Baltimore. So when you come to a faster surface like here at Nationals Park, the ball just gets to the infielder quicker. So if you make your pitches, we've seen a lot of balls hit very hard, but right at infielders, and they've been able to turn them into double plays.
And I can see him getting underneath the slider a little bit right
well,
there.
He does. I mean,
he drops down underneath 3/4 sometimes to try to get his ball to sink, but you can't do the same with your slider. You got to get on top of it a little more.
Yeah, you really try to stay behind it as long as you can and then pull on it. You know, the first night I did not do the game. Buck Martinez, who does about, I guess, the 80 games that I don't do. And when he pitched against the White Sox, I said, and you know, the tragic death of Mark Fidrich, and I was playing when the Bird came into being with the Tigers. He reminds me of Mark Fidrich. If he kind of kneeled down on the mound and did a little manicuring and talked to the ball, he has the same personality. He's only 23, hails from California. So again, he's a very there's your good slider.
Ronnie Belliard down for the first out of the inning.
And when you have a good slider, you just throw a little bit more off the plate. And of course, we've seen Martis do this. He's thrown some great ones. And again, I'll tell you what, and I talked to him the other day because he pitched so well, other than the 2-run home run early on in the first inning to Alex Rodriguez. And I said, when you got a little bit tired and you stopped throwing strikes in the 6th and 7th innings, what did it feel like? When you throw a good slider, what did it feel like? Because you're always trying to have that feel, because that's what pitching's so much about.
I've said that to a lot of the younger guys here on this team. What did it feel like when you threw that pitch perfectly? You don't have to try to make it better than that great slider that's down and away from a righty. And a lot of young guys will try and improve upon an already good pitch. And that's when you try to overthrow, hump up, and you leave it up in the strike zone.
Austin Kearns 1 for 5 in the series. He's already possibly taken a run or more away from the Orioles with a great play up against the scoreboard. And that is the part of the wall out there that has no padding on it whatsoever. And the big man Kearns has tangled with that thing several times in a year and 2 months in this ballpark. 2-0 count. He's ripping out to deep short. And Dino Roberts and the Orioles turn another double play, their 5th of this series. They're the 9th best team in the American League defensively. They look a whole lot better than that this weekend. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. And by Acura. Acura Advance.
We are scoreless as we move to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Now, the Nationals' young pitchers have done a great job this weekend. They've shown a lot of maturity, and Manny Acta is very impressed with Shynro Martis as well.
The ability to pound the strike zone and throw strikes and keep his composure. You know, that one of the bright spot about all these kids is that they all seem to have the makeup that we're looking for. They don't get overly excited. They're easy to coach, and they handle themselves like they've been around before, which is it's a good trait to have up here in the big leagues.
And Nats scouting director Dana Brown told me this morning that the National Scouts really do their homework. They talk to coaches, they talk to teachers, they talk to guidance counselors. And just to show how hard they work, Dana Brown, since January, has already logged over 100,000 miles preparing for the June draft.
Thank you, Debbie. And we heard a report, anonymously, of course, that a gentleman by the name of Wade Taylor did the advanced scouting for this series. He didn't tell us that Bergeson could swing the bat because he hadn't had any at-bats. Who would have known?
Right,
and that's the 2nd hit by an Oriole pitcher in this series.
Does that one scout get 10 cents a mile on his expenses? Or is it 30 cents?
They wish it's only 10 cents a mile. Well, there you go. Just ground ball back up the middle. Nothing that a good changeup wouldn't have changed. But again, you're a pitcher. Hey,
you got to feel him out.
Fastball, and he did.
You want to get ahead, but if you're a pitcher, you should swing first pitch fastball just in case he does throw one.
Exactly.
He might hit it.
So after Robert Andino popped out and the pitcher got a base hit, here's Brian Roberts, who flied to left on the first pitch of the game.
Oh, Danny Baez, and now you got Bergeson's got their first major league hits in this series.
Well, what did Baez said the other night? Of course, he would in the 12th inning get an infield hit and then end up scoring the go-ahead run. He said, "I never realized how long 90 feet was."
Yeah, he had to go. He had to go 360.
Yeah, he had to go all the way around the bases.
2 balls and no strikes. Now to Roberts. Leads the American League in runs with 37. As mentioned earlier, Jones and Markakis, who hit behind him, have both scored 36. So nobody has touched the plate more in the hitting-rich American League than these 3 Orioles. A lot of innings by rookie pitchers. Only Oakland and Toronto more. And a strike on a 3-0 pitch.
And then, as you know, I mean, we've seen a lot in the American League with the Red Sox and maybe Tampa Bay, is that you usually don't want to have guys having, more than 30 innings than you had the year before. And so if they end up pitching all year, you're going to have to monitor that as you get into late August and September. Of course, that's a great problem to have, isn't it? When you have a bunch of pitchers that you have to worry about they're pitching too many innings.
All right, when you were 18, you were in the big leagues, right?
19.
19. How many innings you throw the first year?
Well, the first year I was kind of a spot starter. The next year I pitched 210.
Okay, then third year.
Well, I was hurt.
Okay, fourth year.
Then
that's when you started getting into the 300s.
290, 320, 305, 315.
Man, they'd name the ballpark after you if you did that.
Don't be humble, because that's one of the most things that impressed me.
Well, but everybody did that.
I know, but all the guys from that generation, that the 300+ innings. And did you ever look at some of your pitch charts and see how many pitches you were throwing per start?
169 in one playoff game, and then it came back with 171 in the World Series, and it just didn't matter.
How'd your arm feel the next day?
Same as it always felt.
Did you ever ice?
Later on, I would, yeah.
Lincecum with San Francisco does not ice.
No, he's young.
He's young.
What is he, 23? I mean, it's great when we got Bob Feller, who threw out the first pitch, but one of the great stories is when Marichal starts talking about that 16-inning game against Warren Spahn. He threw 227 pitches.
And a ball popped up out behind second. Ronnie Belliard is out there. Now the outfielders will take over. Kearns takes charge, 2 outs. Ladies' night's coming here to Nats Park on the next homestand. The Giants will be here Thursday, June 4th. Pre-game party kicks off at 4:30 out there on the rooftop. Player appearances, complimentary massages, manicures, product samples, food, beverage, and more. The 3 of us would love to get in, but we can't. Exclusive jewelry, handbag, and cosmetic vendors on site. All-inclusive happy hour and game tickets. It's only $30 for the ladies. Check it out at nationals.com/ladies. 888-632-NATS. Here's Nick Markakis, robbed of an extra base hit by Austin Kearns, his first time up.
And the one thing about Markakis, he's a very good off-speed hitter. As we mentioned last night, he primarily looks for the fastball and adjusts to the breaking ball, and his only hole is pretty much really right at the right shoulder of the Nationals catcher. And otherwise you're not going to be able, because I don't know why guys don't pitch me more up and in, but not too many guys command him. So Martise's strength is pretty much the strength of Markakis, and that's out over the plate.
2-0 here. Another left-hander on deck here. Things don't get any easier for Martis. Control's been an issue for him this year. Nearly 49 innings. And today, with 1 strikeout, he has 24. With 1 walk, he has 20.
There you go. Left-handed hitters hitting 308. Righties 176. And you would think with that great changeup it would be a lower batting average for lefties.
Yeah, because I came up with a changeup probably about maybe year 4 or 5, and it really does get the good left-handed hitter off your fastball.
3 balls and a strike. Markakis hits it a long way to left center. Is it going to stay in? It is up against the wall. 2 runs will score. Heading for third. The throw is late, and the Orioles lead 2-0. And Markakis has driven in 3 of their last 4 runs now in this series. Very similar to where Aubrey Huff hit his RBI triple last night.
Well, here's the pitch. It's up and away. It looks like a changeup out over the plate. You see Willie Harris give it a great try there on the famous Dave's Exmo camera. And then it kind of gets trapped between he and the wall, and Willingham can't get to the ball. And so Roberts was able to score on that, and Markakis goes all the way to third.
Willie Harris shaken up on the play. Willingham visited with him. And with a runner at 3rd and 2 outs now, here's Aubrey Huff up and away, ball 1. You could make a case if the Orioles go ahead to win this game in a low scoring fashion that they won 2 games of the series because pitchers got base hits. If Ferguson doesn't get a hit, this inning's over.
Talked about the walks beforehand. Walks will haunt you, and that Brian Roberts, I mean, that could have just been 1 run right there, but the Brian Roberts comes in on that play too. It's now 2-0 in the third inning.
And Brian Roberts has walked 22 times this year. He also has the 13 triples. I know you guys know all about him, Jim, but I think he's one of the unsung leadoff guys in all of baseball.
Oh, no doubt about that. There's that good changeup.
Well, Christian Guzman's been doing a great job, but other than those 2 gentlemen, who's really better than Brian Roberts?
Who plays a more solid second base. They turned 5 double plays in this series.
And that's why they extended his contract, this year plus 4 years, because they know, and there's nobody maybe other than Melvin Moore that is more active in the Baltimore community. So a great combination. He lives in Arizona, but he spends a lot of time in Baltimore, has a place there. And we were told, and I know the Nationals want to do the same thing as the Orioles, if you're going to live and play in a community, you want to become involved, and Brian has certainly done a great job of that.
And trying to pull that outside pitch. Huff hits it to Ronnie Belliard, and that'll be it for the top of the 3rd inning. Dueling bobbleheads at the ballpark. Right now, the Oriole guy's the one that's nodding yes.
Ways, and the Orioles have a 2-0 lead as the Nats get set to bat in the bottom of the 3rd. Welcome back in, Jim Hunter with Rob Dibble and Jim Palmer. And guys, I came into the series a big-time advocate of the DH, but having seen the Oriole pitchers hit in this series, I've changed my mind. I want National League rules for all the games.
Well, I don't think Jim would agree with that, and I'm kind of leaning more towards the DHs every day because I think, it's more difficult to have to go through 9 real hitters than sometimes come up with a pitcher hitting 9th. You can get out of a jam. Bases loaded, pitcher coming up, you might get out of a tough situation.
And the irony in this series, of course, the winning run was scored by Baez with a base hit with 2 outs in the 12th. And I don't know, I think on a hot day, an interesting thing to see how Brad Bergeson comes back from singling and scoring the first Oriole run, first of the 2 runs they've scored this afternoon.
Yeah, that is a good point. Bergeson started off that rally, then Brian Roberts walks, and then Markakis hits a triple and drives in both the pitcher and Roberts, and has got them up to a 2-0 lead.
And the ball put in play by Will Nieves. Looked like it may have tipped the glove of Bergeson, but the third baseman Wigginton comes out and makes the play. So Nieves out, and Bergeson does get the first batter of the inning. So 1-5-3 on that put out, as Bergeson did in fact get a tad of his glove on that.
Well, and right here you were just talking about the DH, nobody on, one out, and now you got Martis coming up to the plate. And that's, if you're going to have rules in two different leagues, I'm kind of leaning towards why don't we just all go with the DH so that the pitchers don't have to get hurt in interleague play. Last year, Chen-Ming Wang with the Yankees broke his foot. He's still not right. He's got a 32 ERA this year. That guy won 19 games back-to-back years, and had it not been for interleague play, one of the best starters in the big leagues would still be fine.
Yeah, the amazing thing is, and you kind of touched on Jim the other day, is that if you go back and look at the history, about 3,000 games, the American League pitchers were hitting like 126, and the National League pitchers were hitting 153. American League pitchers that hit 14 home runs, National League pitchers that hit 15. You would think there'd be a bigger disparity.
Well, we get accustomed to the American League game, and we all believe it is a better game because of exactly what you said. It is more challenging for the pitchers on the bunt attempt, and that hit Willie Harris. That ball sailed in on him, and he couldn't get out of the way in time, so he'll be on with 2 men down. That is the second batter Bergeson has hit on the year.
Yeah, tough couple of innings. He runs into the fence in left center trying to catch the triple off the bat of Nick Markakis, and then takes one off the ankle.
Hey, Rob, a couple of years ago, the Red Sox had a lineup in which their number 9 hitter won a batting title in the American League. I mean, that's the kind of lineups that you face day in and day out, especially if you happen to be one of the 5 teams in the AL East.
Well, and that's what makes the AL East the most difficult division in baseball, is because, you look at the Red Sox and the Yankees, they have 2 all-star lineups, and they can go out there and spend $150, $200 million a year to put 9 good hitters out there on the field if they can possibly do it. And in the National League, you just can't spend that kind of money. You can't go out there because you have to have the pitcher hitting in the 9-hole. You have to do double switches during the game, so you got to use more guys out of your bullpen. And there's just not that many great arms out in the bullpens anymore. So I'm kind of thinking, listen, they don't do a lot of infield anymore. They don't have the pitchers hitting at the lower levels anymore. They DH in the minor leagues. They DH in high school and college now. They don't even let the pitchers hit. Why do we still have pitchers hitting in the big leagues?
Well, I wonder what the average salary of a DH guy is.
Well, that's the other part of it.
Yeah, the players union likes it. Well,
it would add 16 jobs to guys that can only be one-way players. I think the union would probably go for that.
And look how it prolonged careers, like in the case of Harold Baines, who has borderline Hall of Fame numbers.
Or Edgar Martinez, whose whole career was about being a DH.
Paul Molitor's in the Hall of Fame. I think he did over 1,000 games at the DH.
Yeah, and the reason he's in the Hall of Fame, he was a very good player, but because he was able to DH and he got the 3,000 plus hits. I think it's close to 3,400 hits.
Second base umpire Bill Welke, for some reason, came in and just lectured Brad Bergeson about something. I'm not sure if it had to do with possibly going to his mouth on the mound. It's obviously much too warm for that.
I don't know how Jim feels about that, though, but Dave Tremblay should have gone out there and argued with the umpire. I know any manager I ever played for would say to the umpires, you don't talk to my pitchers, I do. You talk to me. Would you agree with that? I mean, he's out there chewing on, Bergeson's ear in the middle of a ball game.
Yeah, Dave probably has no idea. You would think that most managers would want to know what's going on. Right. I don't want a focused pitcher being unfocused.
Guzman fouls it off. No balls and 2 strikes on the Nationals shortstop.
Well, this is a little step-off move that he did right here. That's not a balk. He's stepping off the rubber. And I don't know if that was the reason why the lecture. I know Doug Harvey, who is one of the greatest umpires of all time, I used to have a habit when I was in the stretch like this but not set, tapping my glove on my front leg. And he kept saying to me, if you keep doing that, I'm going to have to call you for a balk. So he explained it. He never really lectured me. He was pretty good to me that way.
Well, but part of that then, if Bill Welke saw Bergeson do something illegal, he should have just simply made a call. You don't go over and lecture the guy or warn him. If it's a balk, it's a balk.
Well, maybe he was trying to be helpful. It's Memorial Day.
That'd be a first.
It's a holiday.
That'd be a first.
Well,
hey, young man on the mound, you got your first big league hit. I'm going to help you out today.
Yeah, I'm not helping out, just kind of schooling him.
Schooling him.
It doesn't happen very often, but maybe it happened today. Write it down on the calendar.
All right, May 24th, and we were here.
That's right, 2009. One of the Welke brothers. There's two of them out there.
Yep. Second base and third base today. 1-2 on Guzman. Harris bothering Bergeson. He got a big jump swing and a miss as Guzman goes down. Second strikeout for Bergeson, and he gets out of it. So the hit batter doesn't hurt. Guzman down on strike, so the Orioles have a 2-0 lead. Game. Orioles have a 2-0 lead. Let's go back to the Bill Welke lecture, and our two pitchers in the booth have picked something up.
Well, I think if you look at it right here, hands are together, your foot's on the rubber, so you are actually in a set position. And then he'll step off. So I got to imagine that Bill Welke said, you know what, you can't do that. I know you're not trying to deceive the runner.
Here's Ty Wigginton, first ball swinging. Left field. Willingham is there.
Well, because a lot of people get on me because I don't really know the rule book, so Major League Baseball sent me one. That is Rule 8.01, and it says pitchers may disengage the rubber after taking their signs, but may step quickly onto the rubber and pitch. Now, he was already set, so he cannot take his hands away while he's still engaged in the rubber. It should have been a balk.
And in watching that angle on the replay, it looked to me as Nolan Reimold comes up and swings through it, that Guzman was taking so long to get in the box, he just felt that the play wasn't ready yet, so he took his hand out of the glove. But if it's a balk, it's a balk.
Well, he had not gone to the set position. He was not ready to pitch. He just had his hands together as if he was in that position. So I think Bill Welke said, listen, again, I know you're not trying to deceive him, but you can't do that because it is against the rules. So there is an umpire being kind on a holiday and doing his job, I guess, in a sense. Of course, if you're for the Nationals, you're going, why didn't he call it?
Well, and I do like what he did because it's a younger pitcher. It's not like it's a guy with 10 years experience, and so he's just explaining it so it won't happen again. And I doubt Bergeson will do it again.
Slow roller towards third, and it's foul. Reimold.
Because as we saw, Christian Guzman had his head down and was looking down at the ground. He wasn't looking out at Bergeson, and so he wasn't trying to deceive the hitter or the runner. It was more of a, okay, I'm just standing here forever. Okay, I'll put my hands down. But you got to get out of that rubber. You got to disengage the rubber, pull your foot out, and put it behind there.
Good work by the crew to come up with that angle. And a nice job, I guess, by Bill Welke.
Yeah.
2-2 on Reimold. High pop-up, center of the diamond. Now to the left of the pitcher's mound. Zimmerman calls. He has it for the out, and two quick outs here in the fourth inning. Well, the Orioles return to Camden Yards tomorrow. They'll take on the Blue Jays, so make Orioles baseball part of your family's Memorial Day celebration. Birds and Jays battle it out at 1:35. Daytime baseball. First 10,000 fans, 15 and over, will receive a military-style O's camo cap. Tickets start as low as $9, so get your tickets now. 888-848-BIRD, or get online at Orioles.com.
So it's Randy Myers Hat Day?
That's exactly right.
Camouflage Day?
Camouflage Day.
Jeremy Guthrie will be on the mound for the Birds tomorrow. Absolutely.
Okay, guys, it's stretching 10 minutes. It's my former teammate Randy Myers. One of the nasty boys. He was funny. I loved him.
And he had one of the great years you can ever have as a closer for the Orioles. 46 out of 47 that year, I believe.
0-2 on Moeller.
And the one thing about Martiz, what impresses me at age 22 is that he can get you out about 3 different ways. So when you get Reimold, there's a good fastball hitter. He's thrown him sliders the first time. This time kept the ball down and eventually got him out with a breaking ball. Moeller's a better fastball hitter. There's your good slider down and away. And then, of course, he's already established he'll throw a changeup at any time. He's not very predictable. Now, again, he's getting, 6.5 runs a game. So maybe that's why he's 5-0. But he does a lot of things well for a pitcher, especially at age 22.
And this is one of those deals where if you're a fan, you look back on and you realize why general managers are always saying, you know what, you got to be patient. Now, here's a guy that was acquired in 2006 when he was in the low minors in San Francisco for Mike Stanton, as the Nationals were looking to add depth to their system. And does that sound familiar with what Andy McPhail is doing? Moeller gets in the one to left field. Willingham back on it. Still going back. And it is in play. He misplayed it. Moeller is thinking 3, but he will go back to second base.
Yeah, 2 outs, Jim. He's not going to get out at third. And there's just again a guy that didn't get a very good read on the ball. And when he picked it up, it's hard to tell. It looks like the wind's blowing out to left a little bit. So fastball hitter, and he gets the fastball in the middle of the plate. It should have been caught. I mean, you got to make a good play, but this is the back end of the play. He had not got a good read, couldn't get back there in time. And again, so he's just going to kind of be in his tracks. And now all of a sudden he realizes the ball is going to go a lot farther than he thinks. And by the time he gets there, the ball's off the wall for a double.
So Chad Moeller picks up his 3rd double, his 3rd base hit on this road trip. And he's in scoring position with 2 down for Andino, who will try to get on base just to get the pitcher's at bat out of the way. Bergeson is on deck.
Well, the one thing that Chiron cannot continue doing is keeping the ball up in the zone. All 3 of our outfielders have face planted into the wall at one particular time here through less than 4 innings, and he's getting the changeup up a little bit and the fastball up a little bit. And the ball seems to be carrying today. That's going to have some disastrous results.
And then they're going to pitch around to Andino to get to Bergeson, who's already 1 for 1 lifetime. I mean, you can't do any better than
style.
That. Yeah.
But I bet Bergeson gets some changeup.
Yeah, wouldn't you think so?
Yeah. Okay, you like the fastball, you'll hit that back up the middle. How about you like this changeup down and away?
Well, that's like one year Charlie Pride was good friends with Billy Martin. So he actually batted against me in spring training up at Pompano Beach. So I go, Charlie Pride, one of the great country singers. And here's a fastball, and he hit a ground ball up the middle for a single. And I go, Charlie, you're on your own this time, big boy. A couple of 3 breaking balls later, he was struck out. So we'll see what they do with Bergeson.
Welcome in the Battle of the Beltways, the finale of this 3-game series at Nats Park, as our Masson families join for this series and the series to come in June in Baltimore. Jim Hunter, Bob Carpenter, Jim Palmer, Rob Dibble, Debbie Taylor, Amber Theo Harris.
Everybody's here.
Cast
our
it down.
Nationals Masson crew doing a fine job, and they've been very hospitable. There's a ground ball towards the middle. Did he do it again? No, Guzman gets there, and he throws wide at first base, and Bergeson is on.
Unbelievable.
That's got to be a hit. That's a tough play.
Yeah, the more I see of Kristen Guzman, the more he reminds me of Tony Fernandez. Throwing a lot of balls on the run. But again, just think, you're 23 years old. This is your first couple of months in the big leagues, and you're going to run this ball out, because if he doesn't run it out, he's toast at first. Kind of a loopy throw. It's off mark, and Dunn, a big guy.
But he's quick, Jim, out of the box, and he is running down the line, even for a pitcher. That would have been a bang-bang play anyway if it had been on line.
Well, the official score has ruled error.
So we've had
Bergeson
problems with
denied.
the official score all year, though. That's a tough play just because the pitcher hitting. You can't assume that he was going to throw him out. It looked like it was going to be a close play at first base.
That last angle, I totally agree, because it looked like the runner and the ball would have been there at the same time if Adam Dunn was on first base.
And Christian kind of waited for the ball to play him and sat there a little bit too long.
So the Nationals walking Andino to get to Bergeson does not work out, and the lineup is turned over. And here's Brian Roberts with the bases loaded and 2 men down. All this started after 2 outs and nobody on. There's a looper to left field. Coming in is Willingham, and he has it for the out. So Martis gets out of it. Nicely done by the 22-year-old. Bottom of the fourth coming up. 2-0 O's. And Teddy last night got together, and Teddy gets revenge. Tackles the Oriole bird. That's just not right, Teddy. He was way out in front. He's never won a race. So what happens? Here come the rest of the gang, and in a tight finish, George Washington will pull ahead and win the presidential race. The Oriole bird and Teddy, back-to-back days, physically battling on the field.
There's a confusing hat. It's the Oriole colors with the curly W on the hat. There you go.
Yeah, well, Battle of the Beltways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there an O somewhere on that hat? Maybe it's one of those dual team hats.
Well, it's like the Red Sox.
See, I would like that.
Have you ever seen? I mean, any color that
there's an old New York Giant hat.
Well, have you ever seen a color of the rainbow that the Red Sox don't have a hat?
Marketing, Jim.
Yes, it is.
You know that marketing?
Have the socks on?
Yeah, I'm not.
Look at the
big on that
kids.
blood Red Sox one. I kind of like their white home uniforms.
So let's see. You score the first run. You get on base on an error if you're an American League pitcher, and now you're into the heart of the lineup for Brad Bergeson. Had a busy 3 innings.
Really testing his stamina right now because.
And it's not that you're not in shape.
Right,
it's just different. I mean, Jeremy Guthrie was running the bases a couple of weeks ago, and he said, next day I was sore because it's just different movements.
Well, you got to jump out of the box and sprint.
Yeah.
You're like a sprinter going to first base. He doesn't do a lot of that.
Zimmerman takes high. 2-1 Dunn on deck. Then Willingham against Bergeson, who has 2 strikeouts. He has not walked a batter.
Yeah, you don't want to be. Yeah, you don't want to be living in that neighborhood with Ryan Zimmerman, belt high in the middle of the plate. And we have talked about his ability, as we showed us Friday night, to hit the ball the other way with power.
Just outside ball 3. Well, the Orioles pitching in this series has been unbelievable for the Orioles. First 2 games, 21 innings, 3 earned runs. That's an ERA for the Orioles staff of 1.29. High fly ball to center field. Jones has a play, ranging back on it. And he has it for the out and 1 down. And with the 2 games in this series with that great pitching, the Orioles no longer last in the league in pitching. Orioles reach AT&T and cell phones for soldiers invite you to bring your no longer used cell phones to Oriole Park tomorrow. Phones donated at the game against the Jays will be recycled to purchase prepaid phone cards for our troops overseas. So bring your phones tomorrow to Oriole Park and help support our troops.
And we talk about it all the time, Rob. And I know you were a power guy, but last year the most walks issued in the American League were by the Oriole pitchers. They're down to 6 this year so far.
First ball swinging is Dunn, pops it up to short, but there's the third baseman Wigginton on the shift, and 2 men down.
Well, and for the Nationals, guys, it's going to be a process of now turning this team in a different direction. A lot of young pitchers, very qualified young pitchers, but you're going to have some growing pains. But they were 14th last year in pitching and 14th in offense. The offense is now 3rd in the National League. Defense was last year, still last this year. Most errors in the major leagues here in Washington. So there's a couple of errors we really need to improve upon. But, you know, I was there when the Braves were bad in the late 80s, and we used to come in there and they'd have 2,000 fans, and the pitching was just horrendous. Then all of a sudden, you know, they made the trade. They got Smoltz. They had Glavine. Steve Avery came up. They signed Maddox. You know, this, and I'm not going to compare them to that set of guys because all 3 of them could be Hall of Famers. But I have not seen arms like this, quality that can throw strikes, have the kind of poise on the mound as like Zimmerman, Martis, Detweiler. You know, now you've got Stammen, excuse me, and I mean that's 4 guys, and you still have John Lannon's 25, you got Scott Olson's 25, and you got some more kids down in the minor leagues that are coming up. So I think Stan Kasten and Mike Rizzo have a great plan. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
And Andy McPhail has a theory that I think is shared by the organization here, that it's better to develop your own arms than go out on the free agent market because you don't know what you're getting back. Is the pitcher past his prime? Was it a fluke year? You can buy a free agent back because if you can hit, you can hit. But if you develop your arms, you bring them all along together, they grow as a staff. That's what the Orioles are trying to do, and the Nationals obviously well on their way with 4 rookies and a second-year pitcher in the rotation.
Well, and I could tell you coming up through the minor leagues, the Orioles were always one of the best minor league systems, and I'm sure Jim could attest to that too, back from his time with the Orioles. You know, your minor league systems, you're always retooling.
Well, Willingham gives it a ride to deep center field, but it's a fly ball out. We played 4, and the Orioles have the lead. About good pitching, Rob Dibble, the Nats have played outstanding defense behind their pitching, and that's how you get outs.
Well, Justin Maxwell last night, you see him go up on the wall, and this is some of our future today. He's an amazing individual, one of the best center fielder, outfielders in our organization. You see today, Austin Kearns, always known for his defense, and that is just basically a metal wall out there that he runs into. So as a pitcher, when you see your outfielders and infielders giving up their bodies for you, you try to make better pitches so you don't kill them out there.
I thought you described it well, a couple of face plants.
Adam Jones leads off for the Orioles in the 5th. Martis misses. Markakis and Huff will follow. Orioles have 4 hits in the game.
I'll tell you a quick story. It was 89, my first full year in the big leagues. And last week of the season out in San Diego, and Eric Davis laid out, saved me 2 earned runs. It didn't get me extra money, but for the rest of the time we played together, I knew what kind of guy he was because we were well out of the race. We were in 5th place. That was the year Pete Rose got suspended, all that kind of stuff. But it just showed you the kind of guy Eric Davis was, that he would lay out for a ball, make an amazing grab when he could have just played it into a single or whatever and said, this is a young pitcher. Who cares if a couple more earned runs come in? But that was the kind of teammate he was, and still a great friend of this day.
Yeah, and that's what the Orioles pitching staff has to look forward with Jones, who's at the plate, and then we just showed you Markakis, because if you put the ball in play in the outfield, they are going to run it down with the best of them.
3-1 on Adam Jones. Popped up foul. That'll make the stands down the first base line.
And I know that PA isn't hitting right now, but he is a speedster. And we had a guy named Herm Willingham when we won the World Series, was one of the best fourth outfielders I've ever seen. So it didn't really matter when he went in for defensive purposes. As a pitcher, you know, okay, if I give up a hit down that line or whatever back to the wall, it's going to be run down by somebody. It gives you confidence.
The 3-2 to Jones is inside, and it hit him.
Yeah, a little changeup that just kind of backs up. And we told you about Martis. He'll throw that changeup at any time in the count. And there's a perfect example. If it just runs. And again, the 3-2 changeup, you're pretty much throwing it for the middle of the plate and hope it moves. This one runs in and gets him in the forearm.
You know, Eric Davis, the thing about him that I recall, and he was with the Orioles for 2 years in '97 and '98. How he came in with a winning attitude of a winning player. 97, the Orioles were in first place every day of the season. It was a veteran team. The following year, it was a tougher year because they had a lot of injuries and couldn't get back to the playoffs. But I remember once at a hotel, him having a discussion with Armando Benitez. And Jim talked about Armando, who, for whatever reason, was in love with the slider when he had one of the best fastballs. And Armando was complaining just to whoever was listening that he couldn't get anybody out. And Eric just said, you know what, Armando? You're doing yourself harm, because I would love to hit against you because you're dumb. You give the hitter a chance by using all the other pitches. Jones trying to steal second. He is safe at second base on a bang-bang play.
Yeah, and he came off the bag almost thinking that he was out. One thing about Nieves, I was watching him. They took infield yesterday before the game. He does. I don't know how well it translates during the ballgame, but he's got a rocket arm.
Yeah, he does. He's a great backup catcher. Right here you see he gets up, gets out of that crouch position, throws a strike to second base. But when you're not getting a lot of reps and you're not the everyday catcher, Jesus Flores, when he comes back, Will has done a tremendous job when he's back there.
1-1 on Markakis, chance for an RBI. None down here in the fifth. Hard hit ball towards first. The bouncer that Adam Dunn plays, he'll get to the bag. That moves Jones to third with one down.
And also situational hitting. You're trying to add. Now the Orioles bullpen has been terrific in the series. We told you, what, 1 run in 12 in the third innings. But you want to get those add-on runs, even though it's only the fifth inning. So Markakis hits it hard. Dunn makes a nice play. But now all of a sudden we'll see how they play it with Huff, who's came in slumping until the triple last night. What, he was 1 for 18, 8 for 51. But again, they're going to play what, halfway in now? Not all the way in, and they'll just move in as the pitch is being thrown.
Perfect pitch on the outside corner, 0-1.
Well, here's the play at second base right here.
Yeah, I thought he was
spot
out.
shadow it, and he was out. You
and then watch it. If you go a little farther, he comes right up because he thinks he's out, and then they go, nope, you're still out there. It appears in this series the Orioles have gotten some nice calls.
They brought their rabbit's feet with them.
Yep. Well, that helps if you're trying to win.
1-1 on Huff with one down. Hard hit ball, base hit right field. Orioles get another run as Jones will come on to score.
How fast does that ball get through the infield here in Washington?
It gets through really quick, and especially if you make a mistake to Huff, he makes you pay in a hurry.
And again, the situational hitting. It would have scored anyway.
There's famous Dave's on that nice Aubrey Huff swing. I've liked him for a long time. Good guy to have in your lineup. You see this low pitch, down and in. He doesn't try to do too much. Doesn't try to hit a home run with it. He just tries to get a base hit and get an RBI.
RBI number 36. As Wigginton first ball swings. First baseman Dunn calls, and 2 men down. Wigginton now 0 for 3. Dave Tremblay, without the DH in this series, has given Wigginton, Huff, and Mora each a day off. Wigginton played last night at first, today at third, and he's a bit upset.
He took a divot. Just replace your divots.
That's not good for the bat.
It's not the bat's fault.
Gives you a pretty good idea how he's pulling off the ball. No chance of hitting a good slider, and that was one of those types of pitches.
Reimold now takes a strike.
Well, he's getting pitched to. Again, he's been up 8, 9 days.
Yeah.
Both of the home runs on fastballs. Advanced scouts tell you that now. They're throwing them change-ups and sliders, and when they do throw the fastball, it's either off the plate, trying to stay out of the happy zone and the belt high zone.
Off the end of the bat, the shortstop Guzman has a play. He waits for it, and he has it for the out. Reimold is over 3, owes at a run, middle of the 5th. 3-0 Birds. The Beltways, we go to the bottom of the 5th and a 3-0 lead for the Orioles. And because in baseball you can never have enough pitching, we decided to add to our pitching staff here in the booth. We have Rob Dibble, we have Jim Palmer. We had to go one better, so we went out and found another Hall of Famer, Bob Feller, who joins us in the booth. It is great to see you, sir. How are you?
Very good. I'm here because of the parade tomorrow, the Memorial Day parade. I get here every year, and we're going to have a lot of big parade tomorrow. It's going to be the head of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, is going to be the reviewing officer. But I do it every year. It's for the military, and we want to thank all the boys and girls that serve our country overseas and in this country. And it's going to be a beautiful parade, and we're not looking for any rain. There goes a swing and a foul ball down the left field line.
So you're going to do play-by-play too? That's great.
Oh, play-by. Well, I've been play-by-play. Jim Palmer. When I did play-by-play, I set it back 50 years. Back in.
Now you just when did you turn 90?
Turned 90 November 3rd. Sure. I've been in the Hall of Fame half my life.
Well, that's a good thing, and you deserve it.
Jones on the run, hauls it in for the out. Belliard retired, one away.
And on Memorial Day, we want to thank you because, you know, when I started looking at your numbers, I'm going, you were winning, 25, 26 games a year, and you go into the service for how many years? 4 years? 4 years. So that's what, about 100 wins?
You're about right, Jim. I agree with you. I'll take 100 wins.
Well, that's what you were doing. I mean, you were winning 25, 26, 27. I asked Robin Roberts once, I said, how did you win all those games? He said, well, Jim, between starts, I would pitch in relief. Did you ever pitch in relief?
I had about 16 or 18 saves. I was not a great relief pitcher, and I didn't want them to think I was. I wanted to start and play golf for 3 days.
Now, Mr. Feller, back in the day, you had to hit. What kind of hitter were you?
My lifetime average was 151, but I could bunt.
Well, and that's an important part.
That's part of the fundamentals. I had 8 home runs, and I could hit Eddie Lopez of the Yankees like he was my cousin. I had 3 of my 8 home runs off Eddie Lopez.
He was one of my favorites when I was growing up.
2-1 on Kearns. Line to right. Markakis has a play towards the line. Oh, it falls in. It kept tailing away from Markakis, who has trouble picking it up. And Kearns has a double.
Yeah, base hit last night. And you know, the one thing, Bob, a lot of times, and we see a lot of young pitchers, they get enamored with a radar gun. But you were one of the first guys. Yeah, obviously, you pitched before radar guns. But I remember where they timed the motorcycle. You wound up, and motorcycle was going by.
Jim, that was in 1940 in Chicago. The idea was Lou Fonseca who played first base for Cleveland for a long time, led the American League in hitting in 1929. But a little story about Lou Fonseca. He held out. He never took batting practice. He opened the season, put the uniform on, and got a couple of hits. He goes all year long, never takes batting practice, plays 154 games, and leads the American League in hitting, and never took batting practice once all summer. So Lou Fonseca.
Remember the name. So again, what did the motorcycle was going? What, about 100?
The motorcycle's doing about 86, and I gained 13 feet on it and 60 feet 6 inches.
So when you see young pitchers and they talk about radar guns and whatever, was it a relative term about how hard you threw, or was it? Well,
I've seen you pitch a lot during your career. You had a great fastball, had a lot of hop on it. And Ron knows all this. Everybody in baseball knows it. If the ball doesn't move, no matter how hard you throw it, you're going to get hurt. If you don't have any movement on the ball, nobody knows why. Some days you have movement and some days you don't.
Now let's take a look at your first pitch today and see if there was any movement on this one, because you did throw a strike out on the mound before the game.
I threw just as hard as I ever did. I put everything I could on it, but the ball didn't move quite so fast.
Well, the amazing thing, here you are at 90, and I figure you're going to come down the slope of the pitching rubber. You were right on top.
Right on the rubber.
Oh, sure. When I can't throw it without bouncing, I'm going to quit doing that.
Well, Bob, I didn't get a real big bonus. What did you sign for?
I got $1 and an autographed ball to Cleveland Indians. I don't know where the dollar is, but I still have the ball.
Well, Mr. Feller, sir, you started 481 games. You completed 279. Jim Palmer, 521 starts, 211 complete games. As we see the ball go down the line and Austin Kearns comes in and score. Will we ever see anybody complete 150 games a year? The game's evolved to where you have all this specialized relieving. Can we go backward and teach kids how to complete games again?
I don't think it's. I think it's over coaching, over managing. I don't think they're in good physical shape as they were. They may be bigger, they may be stronger, but I don't think they have the stamina.
How did you stay in shape when you were pitching?
I played a lot of basketball, and I did a lot of hunting, and I was on my feet a lot. Did a lot of ice skating in the wintertime, but I brought up on a farm, doing manual labor, milking cows and feeding hogs, and the usual manual labor, corner and hog farm out there in the country where you're going to be in my museum someday, I hope.
I'm trying to get there. No, seriously. But we're talking about the Nationals, and of course the Orioles have some young pitchers. They have 4 rookies. You pitched with some great staffs. You had Mike Garcia. You had one of the great left-handers of all time, which was Herb Score, until he was injured on the line drive by Gil McDougall.
Jim, my opinion of Herb Score, he'd be just as good as Koufax if he hadn't gotten hurt.
And Martis with a base hit to center field. Nieves coming around third, coming towards the plate. Here's the throw, safe at the plate. Play at second base, Muller throws, and safe at second base is Martis. So it's a one-run game, and the pitchers each in this game helping their own cause.
We're not going to be able to let Mr. Feller go because we're 12-30, sir. and you brought us a lot of luck this inning. We haven't had this kind of inning in a while.
Well, that ball must be the hottest baseball in the ballpark. Nobody can hold on to it.
Well, Martis came in today 4 for 16. So he's been up 16 times, got 4 base hits. He knows how to hit. So he'll get it to 3-2, and then Muller drops the throw at home plate, and that allows the tying run to get into second base. And that's the last thing that the Orioles wanted, and of course that's what the Nationals want here in the 5th, as they're starting to rough up Brad Bergensen.
3 consecutive hits, 2 runs in. The Orioles lead now 1. And here's Willie Harris, leadoff man, takes a strike. Willie has been on base twice, former Oriole prospect. Well, the base hits now in this game even at 5. Slider a little low, and he checked his swing.
Beautiful ballpark, gentlemen. It is a beautiful ballpark. We're up here pretty high, almost up in nosebleed.
Yep. I love it, though. I'm here every day. You get to see the Capitol every day at night. They got the light on over there to the left-hand side there. So you get to see all of Washington, D.C. I love this ballpark.
It is a very beautiful ballpark. I remember RFK, of course. But my first start The first time I made an appearance in a Major League ball game was right here in Washington.
Griffith Stadium?
At Old Griffith Stadium on Florida Avenue. I came in to relieve, but the game was lost. I was just mopping up. And the first hitter was Red Prez. I hit him right under the armpit on his left arm. They carried him off. And the next fellow was Buddy Lewis. It was my first strikeout. He never got near home plate.
Now, you played in, I mean, obviously a great era. What you had 16 teams. Of all the hitters you faced, not the guy that gave you the most trouble, but you mean Ted Williams, guys like that?
The best hitter I ever pitched to was Ted Williams. The guy that probably hit me the most was Tommy Henry to the Yankees. I had about a dozen left-handers I couldn't get out. And Rip Radcliffe, Stan Spence played for Washington, the Red Sox. Nellie Fox, Little Pesky.
And what was your first year?
36.
Okay, now there was a blurb in the paper today. On this day in 1936, Tony Lazzeri drove in 11 runs, 2 grand slams, and I think a double or a triple. Did you face Lazzeri?
I didn't pitch Tony Lazzeri. I missed Babe Ruth by 1 year. I pitched 2.5 years to Lou Gehrig.
Now, what kind of hitter was
Lou
Gehrig?
Gehrig was not a good curveball hitter.
You had a good curveball.
Well, I had a pretty good curve. They call it the epileptic snake.
What? The what?
The epileptic snake, Jim.
Okay, I get it. And you had the big high leg kick.
We all had high leg kicks.
Yeah. I think Jim Palmer copied that from Bob.
Well, why wouldn't you?
And I think Juan Marichal, too.
Oh, yeah.
3-2 the count on Willie Harris, and now time requested at the plate.
Well, it'd be remiss if we didn't mention it is Memorial Day weekend. You fought in World War II, and I know you're very proud that you served the country. What was it like in wartime, or did you even think, you'd get a chance to come back and play baseball?
Never knew. I was on the way to Chicago the day of Pearl Harbor, and I called a fellow in Washington to come out and sign me in, and James Tunney, the head of the physical fitness department, and I swore in, went to boot camp and War College, and went aboard the battleship Alabama, where I spent 34 months as a gun captain on the anti-aircraft batteries. Took supplies to Russia for a year, and then took MacArthur back to Japan. We did the Pacific for 2 years. In 1944, we crossed the equator 28 times.
Wow.
Kept in shape out there doing that.
Did you jog on the ship?
I gave exercises twice a day, conditions permitting. That's kept me in shape, and we played catch aboard ship all the time, at sea and in port. And we played ball all through the areas. I even played baseball in Iceland.
Who caught you?
Everybody.
They could have hurt their hand.
Everybody. All the sailors wanted to catch. Everybody.
High fly ball to left. Reimold backs up on it, has a play. Martis will tag it, draw a throw, and then he'll stay put now with 2 men down.
Well, I'm very glad to be with all you gentlemen. And
so tomorrow during the parade, are you the Grand Marshal, or do you just participate in the
Grand Marshal? The Grand Marshal, I'm going to read it off to you right here. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, is going to be the reviewing officer. I'll be in there we have a lot of people from Hollywood here, Ernest Broguin and Lee Greenfield.
Gary Sinise, I see. Yeah. And then Lee Greenwood will sing God Bless America, one of the great renditions.
And we're going to have a lot of Tuskegee Airmen. We'll have, I think some of the Doolittle Raiders will be here. About 4 of them are still living. But I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for reminding me up, and I want you to go keep broadcasting. And good luck to the Nationals. We've got a beautiful ballpark in a beautiful city, and thank you very much.
Very nice to meet you, sir. It's a pleasure having the Hall of Famer Bob Feller. There's a bouncer to second base. Christian Guzman grounds out, and Bergeson gets out of it. So the Nationals get 2, but the Orioles hold the lead. Top of the 6th coming up in the Battle of the Beltways.
update on Cesar is Torres. He's sitting at least the first couple innings out here. He didn't get the start today. Robert Andino did at shortstop. The only reason Cesar didn't is because Dave Tremblay wanted to give him a little bit of a break. Remember, he came off the disabled list only about 2 or 3 days ago, so that strained groin that he's nursing, they don't want to push it. They don't want to re-injure it, but he said it feels absolutely fine. He's available to come in the game today. He definitely will be back in the lineup tomorrow, and that's a good thing for the Orioles. As we saw last night, he can really be the defensive catalyst for this team, and when he's out of the lineup, the Orioles are 0-8. Jim?
All right, Amber, thank you very much. As the Orioles look to complete a 3-game sweep, and there is Cesar on the Orioles bench today. Completing sweeps has been something the Orioles have had difficulty with. It goes all the way back to last year. Jim talked about it on the open. The last 3-game sweep the Orioles have been able to complete was last year, coincidentally, in interleague play. A 3-game sweep of the Astros, June 17th, 18th, and 19th at Camden Yards. This year, 3 different times they won the first 2 games of the series, couldn't complete the sweep.
Yeah, but you got the series. Can't you give us a game? I mean,
no.
It's going to be a long train ride in New York if we get swept, and we're 1-10 on this homestand.
Nice scoop by Adam Dunn on the throw by Zimmerman, and Muller's down on 1 pitch.
So no Beltway mercy, huh? Okay.
Oh, no, it's not over yet. You know that, Rob.
Well, here's the scoop on the Exmo right here. Adam Dunn doesn't get a lot of reps over at first. Very nicely done backhand. Famous Dave's Exmo camera.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. When is Famous Dave going to send some ribs up here? You used to talk about that the other night.
Well, I mean, we're cooking
we
right
see
now.
him. What? How many times do you see him on his Exmo some ribs up here? Now, at least Boo could send some barbecue sandwiches up in Baltimore.
Well, we remind everyone to come on into Famous Dave's for the best tasting, most award-winning ribs in America.
How would we know?
Some of Bob Feller's stats, besides the 279 complete games and 484 starts, he was 266 and 162, yes, as you said, career, and he would have been well over 300. He served his country for 4 years. But this is what I love: 3,271 hits and almost 3,900 innings pitched. You could not hit Mr. Feller.
Rapid Bob Feller.
0-2 on Robert Andino. 1 out, none on in the 6th. Orioles now nursing a 1-run lead. Check swing at a breaking ball. He went too far. Jim Reynolds said that Andino went too far, and there's Bob Feller
being sworn in. Military outfit, Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk. I used to say Norfolk, and they don't like that. Norfolk.
I got to stay away from stuff like that on TV.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Norfolk. Brad Bergeson now, who's 1 out of 2.
F-I-C-K, Norfolk.
Where the Orioles AAA team is.
Oh, that was your home run pitch. Come on.
Orioles pitchers in this series have 2 hits. Bergeson today, Benny Baez the other night.
There you go. Now,
that swing was more like a pitcher.
I started out my career. I was 3 for 4. We go to Cleveland, and they used to flash it up on the board. It had 750 up there. And Ken Suarez, the catcher, said 750. And 3 curveballs later, I was 3 for 5.
Well, Zimmerman twice this inning, helped out by Adam Dunn on scoops, and the Orioles go 3 up, 3 down. We're heading to the bottom of the 6th in the battle of the Beltways, and the Orioles holding a 3-2 lead.
right now. Now, some good news on the injury front for Manny Acta. He said that Anderson Hernandez is better and he should be playing tomorrow in New York. A couple other guys to tell you about. Scott Olson through today, and he is actually headed to Vieira to begin his rehab assignment. Jesus Flores will head to Hagerstown, and he will be playing for AA Hagerstown. And then Elijah Dukes, he ran the bases today. He's going to join Olson in Florida. And Nick Johnson, as we told you earlier, left the lineup. He was out of the lineup, originally in the lineup, and he is no longer in the lineup because he had some stomach discomfort. So we'll try to get more on that as the game goes along. Jim?
All right, Debbie, thanks very much. So the update for Manny Acta's club. As every club deals with the injuries over the course of the year, that's why you have a 40-man roster and you have prospects just in case. Orioles will have to make a roster move on Tuesday because they need somebody to start that game. And it's expected that Luke Scott might be back by midweek. There's a line drive off the bat of Zimmerman. There's a base hit. So on the first pitch of the inning, after Bergeson ran the bases, he allows a base hit to Zimmerman.
Yeah, when you come in, I'm hitting almost 350. You don't get away with an ordinary slider. I mean, this is a very difficult time for Brad Bergeson, and the reason is you're in the heart of the lineup. It's the third time through the lineup. You have very, very good hitters, and again, they have seen all your stuff. So you have to make quality pitches, and that is whether you're 23 or 33. That's what about pitching 3, 4, 5 times through the lineup. And with that line drive to left, looks like there's going to get some action in the Oriole bullpen.
But you took great pride in going through the lineup 3 and 4 times. I mean, that was your plan every time you took the mound every 4th day.
And again, we were talking about it before the game. I mean, I came up, I had Robin Roberts as a roommate. I had Harvey Haddix. I had Stu Miller. I had Eddie Fisher. You know, Charlie Lau, who went on to be one of the great hitting instructors, was one of the catchers. So you're always talking about pitching. And then, you know, I'm watching Steve Barber and Milt Pappas, who was a terrific right-handed pitcher we would use to get Frank Robinson. And, you know, then I pitched with McNally and Cuellar, who are masters of changing speeds. Pat Dobson comes over. All of us win 20 games. So you take a little bit from all of them and you see how they do it. So again, it's not automatic because Chris Ray is going to get loose for the Orioles. But again, right here, they've seen the whole thing. So can you get all your 3 pitches over? Can you pitch to both sides of the plate? Can you change speeds? And for a lot of young pitchers, that's difficult to do because they haven't been out there often enough. They don't know what they can do.
2-1 on Adam Dunn, who at the plate represents the go-ahead run. High fly ball to center field. Jones back on it. Still going back on it. And that ball is gone. Adam Dunn with a home run, and the Mets get on top.
And Brad Bergeson obviously upset. But this is what Adam Dunn does.
That's what he gets paid $10 million a year to do, is hit the long ball, and that's his 13th home run of the season. But as you said, he tried to throw a sinker running away from him right on the sweet part of the bat of Adam Dunn, and he just kills it. Here's the Exmo. Breakdown of that swing right there. One of the most powerful men in the game today. If you make a mistake, he will make you pay for it.
So the Orioles had a 3-0 lead heading to the bottom of the 5th, and the Nats with 2 in the 5th, 2 here in the 6th. Now on top, 4-3.
Now, 4 of the last 5 hitters have reached. And again, what has Adam done? He comes up, he's going to walk, he's going to strike out, but he does hit home runs. He hit home runs once every 9 times last year.
Well, the Orioles pitchers continue to struggle in the home runs. That is the 66th home run allowed by Oriole pitching. That is the most allowed in the American League.
Well, he's on a great run too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going for 6 straight years, which would break the record that he tied with Babe Ruth for the most consecutive years with 40 home runs or more. He is just so consistent. And I've often thought if he could cut down and put some of those strikeouts in play, how many more home runs he'd hit a year.
Sharply hit to short, and Dino has it. 1 down in the Washington 6th inning.
Yeah, you would think he'd be the perfect American League player. We're talking about Adam Dunn. And there we talked about Ibanez, 17 last year, all the way to August till he got 17. So he's really having one of those special years. And then what does everybody say? Adrian Gonzalez, unless you're a National League person, I mean, he's out there in San Diego.
He's amazing.
I saw him when he was down with Texas and then Full House every year. And that's old news.
But Raul Ibanez is loving all the fastballs he's seeing over here in the National League, and he's making people pay. Probably saw a lot more 3-2 breaking balls over in the American League than he does here.
Belliard pops it foul. That'll be back in the crowd.
And he's such a terrific team player. I mean, he came up as a catcher and lives in Miami, and he can hit left-handed pitching. He's a guy that's played on some winning teams in Seattle and some losing teams.
There you see our hitting coach Rick Eckstein talking to Adam Dunn. Well, Adam's been frustrated. I mean, when we went over to Walter Reed Hospital the other day, he was upset. We were talking to some of the servicemen and women that were in there, and he knows he's in a slump, and he wants to work out of it.
And Dino tested again, 2 men down on back-to-back ground balls to short.
And this is a great learning experience for Brad Bergeson, and I think you'll learn a lot about him if you're Dave Tremblay and if pitching coach Rick Kranitz, because there are a lot of times where I gave up leads and your heart's down by your toes because it can be devastating, but he comes back and makes 2 really good pitches. So again, maybe Zimmerman and Dunn are 2 of the best hitters in your lineup, but good pitches are going to get good hitters out. Bad pitches are going to allow them to circle the bases, and that's what happened early on in the inning, and he's made some nice adjustments.
Austin Kearns fouls it back.
I agree with you. I mean, even sometimes in spring training when guys are trying to make clubs, they can have a bad outing, but the manager will look into your eyes after you get out of an inning or something like that, and he knows if you're the type of guy that I want on my staff. I've told this story on the air before. Steve Foster, who made our team one year, must have given up 5 runs in 1 inning, came off the field. He was not throwing a fit, but he was disgusted. He threw his glove, and Lou Piniella looked at me and goes, I like that kid. And he was one of the first kids called up from the minor leagues. So it's not always on a great performance that you're judged. It's getting out of innings like this.
And again, if you want to win this game, hang around.
There's a soft line drive that's going to fall right center field. Adam Jones cuts in front of Markakis to get it back in, and a 2-out single for Austin Kearns.
Well, and it's nice to see him get a multi-hit game today. Got a hit yesterday. Trying to get him going in the right direction. I think if Austin Kearns and Willingham can start hitting behind Adam Dunn will get better pitches to hit.
Yeah, that's what's so great about a lot of the American League lineups, and no doubt the National League. You have somebody that can protect you, make them have to pitch to the guy in front of you.
So Bergeson days is over, and Chris Ray will come on with a bat on in the 6th. Lead on the Orioles. Bergeson, Dunn, Ray coming on. Let's get a look at the Aflac trivia question for today. Jim Palmer is 2 for 2 in the Battle of the Beltways and getting the answer correct. We'll see if he can close it out and complete the sweep. Which 2 pitchers hold the rookie wins records for both franchises, the Orioles and the Nationals?
Well, rookie wins, I would think the Orioles. Wally Bunker was 19-5 in 1964, Rookie of the Year.
Now, just so we know, are we only counting the Nationals once they came to D.C.?
Yes.
So the Expos part of it doesn't count.
The franchise. So that would be
including Montreal.
So.
Franchise.
Ooh. Well, how about if I'm two and a half?
Steve Rogers?
Steve Rogers? Just thinking Steve Rogers.
Yeah, we could do this collectively.
It's the one Expos pitcher I could remember. A lot of scientific thought that's going into this.
Steve Rogers, yeah. He was a really good Montreal pitcher.
Yeah. Bill Gullickson, come on.
Yeah, Bill Gullickson.
Yeah, there was another. I just happen to not think of him.
I can go back in the players list in the back of the press pack, come up with some other guys.
No,
I know.
You told me.
I know.
No books. That's your rule.
Not allowed to do
that was his
right?
old trick. He used to always.
Yeah, you can't Google it.
Yeah.
No way.
No.
You have your computer.
No. Jim has a rule in the booth as Ray's going to get the final out. Even if you have reference books, you're not allowed to open them. You're supposed to know beforehand.
Or guess.
And Nats get the lead on the Dunn home run. We'll head to the 7th, 4-3 Washington. On the 2-run home run by that man, Adam Dunn, and he just hit it long and over the fence.
Paul Bunyan in a national uniform. Well, the big fly. Got a great pitch to hit and did miss it. Matter of fact, Zimmerman got a hanging slider. He took advantage of it, and then 2 pitches, 2 runs, and that gives him the lead.
The Orioles in this game, and this has been a problem for the Orioles in many games on the year, the add-on runs or lack of add-on runs. The Orioles have left 6 men on base in this game, and 3 of those have been left on base in scoring position. Aubrey Huff, a leadoff double in the 2nd, did not score. Markakis had a 2-out triple in the 3rd. He did not score. And then the Orioles left the bases loaded in the 4th. Actually 4 runners because 2nd and 3rd there. So 4 of the 6 left on in this game in scoring position.
And a lot of it has to do with the young man on the mound, because he has, on most occasions today, he has pitched extremely well.
Well, and this is what he does well, Jim. He changes the eye level, the location of his pitches, change-ups right there. He just gets a pitch that's too hittable from Roberts, and he smacks it into center field. But I truly feel that, he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. He makes mistakes away from people. And you already said this, if you're going to make mistakes and you're trying to make adjustments, Northrop Grumman here on the pitch track, this is a change-up or a sinking fastball going away from him, and he gets a base hit. It's minimal damage. It's kind of damage control. But if you throw a fastball up in the zone or a change-up that's hanging, the guy can hit a home run, and it can change the momentum of the game.
Adam Jones batting, tying run is on, and there's a strike. Well, when I was getting my scorecard prepared, what jumped out at me about Martis on his season, in the 8 starts he has made this year, in 6 of those, 3 runs or less.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. It's giving your team a chance, and then hopefully you pick up the win. And he's 5-0, and Adam Jones belts one deep left center field, and that ball is gone, and the Orioles get the lead back. A liner that got out of here into the Orioles bullpen. Number 10 for Jones, and the Birds have a 5-4 lead.
That number that jumps out, and again, we told you Dunn and they took advantage of Bergenson third time through the order. This is the fourth time through the order. And when you get a hanging slider, watch this ball hover around the hitting zone.
Yeah, that's down and in.
Yep. It really doesn't have that late break to it. And boy, this is about as hard a line drive as you can hit.
No, I'll take my foot out of my mouth now. After he doesn't leave anything up in the zone, and he gets nailed there on a hanging.
Well, but when you look, and we look, Rod Balone has been warming up. I think the difficulty for Manny active with young pitchers, and I went through this my first year starting. When you have young guys and your bullpen's not pitching well, maybe you're going to leave them in a little bit longer than normal, and sometimes it'll come up and jump and bite you.
He has to. And, when guys are throwing 95, 96, 100 pitches, and you don't have much help down in the bullpen, and I've said this on many broadcasts, the best pitcher out there for this team is the starter. Why would you take him out and put in a lesser pitcher? But right there, you kind of have to take it out. Take him out. He looks like he's getting a little bit tired. But it is a tough mistake for some guys to learn the fourth time through. I'm also a big believer, Jim, in trying to get guys out of the game so it's a good start for them. And so mentally, now Chiron, he comes out of the game. He's losing now 5-4. Probably feels really dejected. He let the team down, and that's a tough pill to swallow. And it's tough for Maniac to gauge whether or not to pull a guy after a certain amount of time when he's got the lead or a tight ball game.
It's an interesting discussion because depending on the franchise and on the Orioles side, there have been a lot of columns written about, well, why don't these pitchers get deeper in games? So the manager, sometimes you go, okay, today's the day. We're going to let him go the extra inning. Maniac that does it today, base hit, home run, lead lost.
And a lot of times they go by numbers. Earl Weaver is one of the first guys that really gave the numbers. So, Martis was getting righties out there, hitting 176. It wasn't a left-handed hitter, hit the home run, and he had handled Adam Jones pretty well, other than hitting him with a changeup on a 3-2 pitch. So again, you trust your young pitcher. You hope he'll make a good pitch. He didn't, and Adam Jones, who came in as the leading hitter for the Orioles average-wise, takes advantage of it.
Well, really only 7 hits, 5 runs, and that big 2-run homer right there. But 16 first-pitch strikes, 89 pitches. He's 22 years old, so probably, like you said, it's a tough decision to yank a guy out of the ball game when he hasn't even gotten to 100 pitches.
There is Jesus Colome getting loose in the bullpen behind Valone, who will deal to Markakis, and there's a strike. Well, Adam Jones had his 9-game hitting streak halted last night, and he's starting another one today with that 2-run home run, as Markakis now will bat with the bases empty and nobody out. Nick has a 2-run triple in this game.
Well, I think Adam Jones had 3 hits the first night.
Yep.
And they were all on the inner half. And once again, I said you got to learn a lesson by watching what other guys do wrong. And every time we tried to come in on Adam Jones the first night, he walloped it to the left side of the field.
And he's become a pull hitter. The majority of his hits are to center or left field.
Oh, and he just drops the bat head down. It's kind of like chopping wood. You were talking about Paul Bunyan, but the quicker you are through that zone, and then he just chops down on the ball, tries to hit a line drive, that ball jumped out of here.
Well, the Orioles in April went 9-13. Adam Jones 4 home runs, 18 RBIs in those games as Markakis pops it up. Zimmerman at third makes the call. And he has it for the out and 1 down. Now in the month of May, Jones already has 6 home runs and now 14 RBIs in fewer games. So he is really coming on. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles. Well, 1 down in the inning. Here's Aubrey Huff, and it's low. Aubrey, after sitting out the game last night except for 1 big pinch hit, his RBI triple in the 7th was the difference in the game. He now has 2 hits in this game and 3 trips. Just his 9th multi-hit game on the year. Even when he had his long hitting streak, he was getting just 1 hit a game to keep it going. What's encouraging for the Orioles is that Aubrey Huff always has been a second-half hitter, and he already has 36 RBIs. The Orioles today playing their 44th game. There's a strike.
Yeah, another guy very much like Nick Johnson, maybe not as good as a defensive player, but coming off a year where Aubrey hit 82 extra base hits, led the American League. He will be a free agent unless they re-sign him, so he certainly has some value. to a lot of clubs. And it's interesting. Everybody said, well, the longer you wait, July 31st, the trading deadline, the more you get. But there are other times when you trade players early on and you get to use them that extra 2 months, which is even more advantageous to some of the clubs that are trading for guys that can flat out play. And there's no doubt that this guy, he hits lefties, he hits for power. He's a terrific hitter. And we talked about hitting instructors. He has come up with a bond with Terry Crowley. They made some adjustments. And, again, they looked at film yesterday, and then he comes in and gets that pinch hit. Yeah, there's the Crow. One of the great pinch hitters. He was one of your guys. He played for the Reds in 75 and 76. And
how important is it, though, to have a good relationship with your pitching coach, with your hitting coach?
It's you trust them. Because I always felt that the coaches knew more than I did. I don't know if you see that anymore. And a lot of times, so when you get a guy like Terry Crowley, who's been through the wars, who always has your back, and Rick Eckstein's the same way. These are the guys. That's how you build up the trust.
Well, that was Stan Williams in Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Larry Rothschild, who's still, the pitching coach now back with Lou Piniella in Chicago. He's been with the Cubs for many, many years, and Larry Rothschild was like that. He was okay. The pitchers are my guys. And he did a lot of the stuff. Like a Buddy Ryan with the defense there with the Mike Ditka with the Bears. They're my guys.
Wigginton to right field. Playable towards the line for Kearns. And he has it for the out. And 2 men down. Well, the Orioles head home following the game today. And Jeremy Guthrie will be at the mound. That's tomorrow afternoon. Holiday baseball at Camden Yards. The Blue Jays are in town. And we'll have it for you in Mass and HD. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. with O's Extra, hosted by me and Rick Dempsey.
You're everywhere, Jim.
I'm taking over. That's tomorrow, 1 o'clock on Mass and HD. And the Nats will be on the road tomorrow night. Mass and HD, 7 o'clock. They'll be at Citi Field against the Mets.
Have the Nationals been up to Citi Field yet?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
How'd you like it?
It's a pretty decent park as far as pitching goes.
For $670 million parks.
Don't like the bullpen.
We got to look at
side by side. They've got the bullpen is behind the home bullpen, and they can't even see the game. But I mean, it's a gorgeous park, no doubt.
When the Orioles flew from Kansas City to New York last Sunday, that was the flight path going into LaGuardia, and we got to look at it from the air. It looked pretty nice.
Trust me, you know what? I would have been one of the first people to push the plunger on blowing up Shea. I never pitched well there. Didn't like that stadium at all. So I'm very happy that
we didn't like to play World Series there.
Those amazing Mets.
1-1 on Reimold, who looks it over outside. Nolan is 0 for 3. He had his hitting streak halted last night at 6 in a row. Over the last 2 games now, he is 0 for 7, now going through that adjustment process that Jim talked about.
Because the league is going to adjust. I mean, that's just the way the game is. Advanced scouting better than ever. You can look at all the videos of what a guy hits. So they will go back and look at his good hits, his bad at bats. There's a change up and a fastball count.
Well, you know what I like to look at? Like the last 2 weeks, see how hot the guy was and where he was hitting certain pitches. If he was hitting fastballs to right center field, like a Mike Piazza, I want to know that. So I like when they have a lot of graphs and charts, but sometimes the scouting reports scare the heck out of these young guys when you start going, hey, this guy's a good fastball hitter, this guy's a good fastball hitter. But, you still got to use your stuff or you can't pitch up here. It's your stuff against these good hitters.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good combination, don't you think, between looking at the scouting reports and then reacting to the way the hitter reacts against you.
Absolutely. And I've always felt, people say, well, you're throwing this, you're throwing that hard. It doesn't matter. Hitters will let you know. You could throw 100 and they'll hit it. It doesn't matter. You have to locate it. And like you said, pitching is pitching out of jams and pitching out of bad situations. And pitching is when you go out there with one pitch and go through the lineup 4 times.
Up goes on the 3-2, and it's inside. Ball 4, and Reimold with a very good at-bat there, patient at-bat. And that is the second walk allowed by Vallone since coming on.
Here we go, the Northrop Grumman pitch track, and that ball just runs inside. And you can see changeups away, cutters away, trying to turn the ball over, and then
curveballs in,
trying to stay out of the middle of the plate and try to strike him out up and in, and just missed.
Oh, you don't stay around as long as Ron Vallone has without being crafty. I always like to say it goes through that box. It went right through the box. It's a strike.
That's what it looked like to me. It definitely
didn't
crossed
it look
the
like
plate.
it went through the
box? There's a line drive off the bat of Moeller to center field. Harris backs up on it, and he has it for the out. And the Orioles leave 2 more on, but the Birds do get the lead as Adam Jones hit his 10th home run. And the Orioles now have a 5-4 advantage. Now for God Bless America on this Memorial Day weekend. To the public address, and 5-year-old Caitlin Marr will sing the national anthem. Or God Bless America, excuse me. She did sing the national anthem prior to the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we honor our country with the performance of God Bless America. Once again, Miss Caitlin Marr.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Fans enjoying their time at the ball game. Orioles have the lead back after losing it in the 6th. Adam Dunn put the Nats on top of the 2-run home run, and then Abe was very disappointed because Adam Jones came back with a 2-run home run. Chris Ray got the final out of the 6th and stays on here in the 7th. The Orioles bullpen over the last 3 games coming in today, 2-0 with a 0.57 ERA. No runs over the last 15 2/3 innings.
And they got a pinch hitter and who's been red hot. I mean, what dislocated the pinky the other night against the Pirates?
Yeah, he went to smack himself on the helmet and missed and dislocated his finger. Well, I guess he cut his helmet the wrong way.
Yeah. But he's been hot, what, 22 for his last 66, so he is their second baseman when he's healthy.
Broke his bat and a base hit in the right field.
Well, one of the problems for Chris Ray has been, how do I just can't quite finish hitters off. I can't find my release point. The first two pitchers were terrific, 94 and then a great splitter. And then 0-2. You don't have to throw a strike. You got a guy coming off the bench. He's used to playing every day. And what does he do? He gets a ball to a hot hitter. And he gives him a pretty good pitch to hit. And again, famous Dave's Exmo. Not hit that hard, but he's allowed to get the bat head out in front. And good hitters can do that.
Well, and the one thing that Anderson Hernandez has done, which I'm really, really impressed by a young guy, he's cut down on the swing, especially when he gets 2 strikes. He just tries to put the ball in play, use his speed. He's gotten some infield singles. He hits the ball the other way really well now.
How about stealing bases? They don't run a whole lot, only 16.
We're not great in that category, and I don't know why. We have a lot of good speed guys, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a good base runner. And we need some guys to really learn. I mean, we got Marquise Grissom teaching them how to steal bases, and Devon White, and some really good base runners. But I think that's something you need to have a talent for. It's kind of hard to teach a guy how to, go on first movement and pick and steal bases.
Ray misses outside to Harris. 2-0 the count. You saw Joe Beimel getting loose in the Nats bullpen. Jamie Walker is up in the Orioles bullpen.
Well, for Chris Ray, it's really not about stuff. Rick Kranitz, the Oriole pitching coach, saying that anytime you miss a whole year, maybe a little bit more than that with Tommy John surgery, and you have violent, but it's kind of a very aggressive windup.
Oh, violent's a good word for it.
There's a ground ball towards the hole, and it finds the hole. Base hit. So Harris singles, his second hit today. And the Nats have 2 on with none down. Orioles with a 1-run lead. Let's get the answer to today's Aflac trivia question to see if Jim Palmer has completed the sweep.
Well, no, I know the first one. I don't know if anybody ever won more than Wally Bunker, 19-5. And then I'm wondering, Steve Rogers, but could it be Carl Morton, the guy that was a bonus kid out of?
Where'd you pull that out of?
Chad Morton.
Oh,
you know what?
And
I will tell you why. And the reason it's Carl Morton, not Chad, is when I got out of high school, I went up to College League, and he was a outfielder that had turned down about $150,000 out of Oklahoma State, and he eventually signed as a pitcher and was a very good one for the Expos.
Guzman lays down a beautiful bunt. Wigginton the first, just in time to get Guzman. So he lays down the sack, his second on the year, forcing Wigginton to field. Tying run goes to third. That's Hernandez. And the go-ahead run now to second. That's Harris. Only 1 down.
Well, you can see this coming right there. I mean, you play situational baseball. Very nice bunt after a couple of singles. But I can't see you pitching to Zimmerman, because the go-ahead runs out at second base. You got Dunn, you got your lefty specialist, even though Walker's had trouble getting lefties out. So I would imagine they would walk Zimmerman, and then you're going to see Jamie Walker come in to face Adam Dunn. And that's one of the reasons it's probably the right thing to do, Rob, but you take the bat out of Ryan Zimmerman's hand.
Yeah, you have to go with that. There's 1 out. You can get a bang-bang play. Adam Dunn could hit a ground ball back to the pitcher, to home, to first. You can get a ground ball double play. There's a force at every base.
But my point is, do you bunt with Guzman in the 7th inning knowing they're going to do this? I guess you probably do, because Adam Dunn can tie the game up without getting a base hit.
With a fly ball,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And you're playing at home, and as tough as this homestand has been, we really need a win right here. So just to tie the score would be a victory.
Remember, it's the nice, friendly, happy train ride up to New York from Manny Acta, where Dave Tremblay wants to get on the bus and just make a 35-mile ride. There's your 6th inning. The big fly. Going to put him ahead.
And the Pirates and the Orioles up until that point had been pitching him well. They'd been pounding him in. They'd been slow tossing him away. And that was basically a hard sinker down and away. And he was just all over it. Had great plate coverage right there. I was always about not letting the big hitters get their arms extended. I just thought that was dangerous.
So Ray's day is done. Jamie Walker will come on to face Adam Dunn. Bases loaded, 1 down, 1-run game. Well, young fans having a good time here on a Sunday afternoon. And the Orioles and Nats playing the finale of this series. Felix Pie now in left field, replacing Nolan Reimold on the double switch. And Jamie Walker comes on, so Pie will be in the number 9 spot. And Walker goes in the Reimold spot, number 6.
Yeah, lefties 7 for 19, so are right-handers, 368. So pretty much Jamie, for both guys, he's a finesse lefty. If he hits 85, we know he's got a tailwind. Because it's about changeups and sliders. There are the Nationals. They've out-hit the Orioles 10-7, but they're trailing by a run.
Hernandez at third, Harris at second, Zimmerman at first. A little bit low, 1-1 the count on Adam Dunn.
There it is, 84. So it's not really about velocity. It's about, again, he's going to try to sell the changeup like famous Dave sells his ribs. You know, give you the great arm action and then hope to deceive you in some way.
The 1-1 swung out and missed.
Yeah, a little slider, and he worked with Mike Cuellar. Mike, one of my teammates who won a Cy Young Award, probably should have won another one. Just trying to stay on top of his stuff. You know, worked very hard. Elbow problems last year. Worked hard in the offseason. So, you know, in his late 30s, trying to hang on his last year of a 3-year deal for the Orioles.
There's the 1-2 to Dunn. It's low. And it's blocked there by Chad Moeller.
Chad Moeller, very good defensive catcher right here. He's going to stop a ball right there. You see him just get in front of it, leaning forward. I can talk about that all the time, so it'll bounce towards the mound, and you can keep it in front of you. Explain, Jim, selling the changeup. The arm location and all that.
Yeah, you talk about it again, and it's about arm speed. So again, if you're throwing 84 and your changeup may be 78, 76, hitter wants to see the same arm speed. Otherwise, he's going to pick it up. And
fouls it back, trying to time that pitch that came in off speed.
Yeah, not a very good breaking ball. And again, you know, it's just amazing if you watch the game long enough. And because Rob, you and I were out there so many times. Sometimes you hang a breaking ball and you get lucky because it hangs out of the strike zone, right, or the hitter doesn't recognize it and he doesn't want to get called out, so he'll foul it off. But you bring that ball down 6-8 inches, and Adam Dunn may have a 6 RBI afternoon.
The 2-2 pitch, high fly ball, deep left center field. Back goes PA, and that ball is gone. It's a grand slam for Adam Dunn, and the Nats have the lead back.
Well,
go ahead.
No, he's your guy.
Well, there's your slider, strike one, change up, ball one. There's a good slider. So he's ahead in the count, misses with a changeup. Nice block by Moeller. There's your hanging slider. So again, you can see fastball. He just tries to throw it, but an awfully good swing. And when you're that strong and you stay inside the ball and don't get around it, and you have that kind of power, you can hit it out anywhere. And I was behind the cage yesterday, and I said to Rick Eckstein, I said, where does he hit him? He goes, everywhere. So the matchup doesn't work. And again, if you're Dave Tremblay of the Orioles, you bring in the guy that's supposed to get the lefties out. And if he doesn't do the job, you lose ball games. And it's pretty simple. I mean, it's not like it's rocket scientists. You would just hope that that guys will come in, and you know, everybody, and Dave's very good about it. This is your job. You're going to get lefties out. J.B. Walker couldn't do it.
Line to left, hanging for PA, who has it for the out. That's the second out of the inning.
And I always judge players on if they make everyone around them better. I mean, yeah, there's great players, but Adam Dunn makes everyone else expect the most out of their talent on this team. He has made a lot of guys better. Fun-loving guy, but boy, he is all business on the field. And right here, this is not an easy pitch to hit the other way. Takes it way out into the bullpen for a grand slam.
Belliard bounces it to short, and Dino to first. Inning ends, but not before the Nats get the lead. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Rob, we'll see you in late June in Baltimore. Bob Carpenter back after the break. 8-5 Nats.
weather conditions as well as the rain is coming down. And Adam Dunn has his first ever 6 RBI game. I find that a little surprising. He's never driven in 6 until just now.
That is kind of surprising to me with all that power and all the home runs that he's hit, that he's never had more RBIs than that. Maybe just hasn't had enough ducks on the pond. But, we expected this kind of, run production the first 2 games. The Orioles bullpen had been fantastic, and now we finally broke through to their bullpen.
Well, we were kind of pitching more like our numbers support. And I guess the irony is, baseball is so difficult of a game because you can't always play in concert. And you know what? They scored 5 runs or more, talking about the Nats. In 10 games, they were 1-9 because pitching wasn't very good. Yeah. Again, Martis pitches well enough not to give the Orioles, an opportunity to get way out in front. And then Adam, this is a terrific offense this year for the Nationals. As you mentioned, 14th last year. They came in 3rd, and we're seeing why. A couple of home runs, 2-run home run and a grand slam.
Well, and it's great after a really tough homestand to jump on a train. Hopefully the bullpen can hold on until you get that last out. It's never over here in Washington, but right now it's a 3-run lead, 8-5. Joe Beimel in the game.
Robert Andino leads off, and Joe Beimel is the new pitcher. The Nationals have other changes along with the new pitcher. Evidently Adam Dunn's done his work for the day. He did have a fine day defensively at first base, by the way, but he's being replaced here for defense by Ronnie Belliard. Anderson Hernandez went to second base. That flare to right field. Long run for Kearns. He's there. He overruns it, and because of that, he falls into the barrier, and the big man holds on.
Well, the first and the 8th. Two pretty spectacular plays. Face plant in the first on the ball Markakis hits, and then you talked about the rain coming in, maybe a little different conditions. So, and you come out, and a lot of times you'll take fly balls, the wind will be blowing a certain way, and then
he overran that ball. He overran it, and then he had to go back and catch it. It's actually a great catch, but you see his leg jam on the wall there. Never want to see that. And I think Manny Actor probably took Adam Dunn out because you already have Nick Johnson's not feeling well. It's very hot and humid today. You don't want anything happening to Adam Dunn as you're going up to New York tonight.
Well, and if your bullpen does its job, you don't need Adam Dunn the rest of the day. Felix P.A. came in to play left field, batting 9th here. He did make a pinch hitting appearance in the 10th inning on Friday night and sacrificed. The Orioles did not score in that inning when they had a couple of walks and stranded 2 men. PA at 193. He's 16 for 83, and a big breaking ball over matches him outside. 2 quick outs.
Yeah, got a chance against right-handed pitching, but again, Beimel comes in for what? To get lefties out. Walker doesn't get Dunn out. A little different situation. Not certainly a hitter of the same stature. But it's all a game about matchups.
Time for you to text in your vote for the AT&T Player of the Game. Adam Dunn, A. I like his chances. Adam Jones, B. He's had a good game. Austin Kearns, a lot of great work in the field. And text your vote to have it heard. Text A, B, or C to 51862. AT&T Player of the Game. Ryan Roberts 1 for 3. A walk, a single, 2 runs scored. He has scored 4 runs in this series.
And again, if you're Manny Acta, you match up pretty well. Andino actually, he was 4 for 9 against lefties, but PA was 1 for 10 against left-handers, and Brian Roberts, as good as he is, over 300 against right-handed pitching and 260 against lefties. So this is your 8th inning guy today.
And that's exactly what Manny Acta said the day in spring training when the Nats got Joe Beimel signed as a free agent. He said, I have my 8th inning guy. Although what's happened in the 7th and the 9th hasn't always gone according to his plan to make that happen.
Almost looks like it's raining.
It's been raining for about 15 minutes. Anderson Hernandez with a headlong dive to his left.
It's raining Anderson Hernandez's.
And it's no coincidence when pitchers are around the plate like they have been in this series, you will see excellent defense. cards. Low fares, no hidden fees. And by PNC Bank. PNC leading the way. Rainy day now, and it's been raining runs for the last hour or so since the 5th inning. Most of the scoring in this ball game, and don't forget about T-Shirt Tuesday. The Nats will be here against the Giants a week from Tuesday, and the first 10,000 fans receive a free Vote for Nats, not Pedro, Nats T-shirt. It's presented by Tickets.com. 888-632-NATS. Visit Nationals.com or stop by the Nats Park box office and get your tickets.
Well, Mark Hendrickson will come in 6'9", and he tried to start and was not very effective. Had some back problems early on. 1-4 with a 6.35 ERA. 20 earned runs in 28 and a third innings. So he's in the bullpen. He doesn't really, both lefties and righties hitting over 300. So he's not a matchup guy in that sense, where they're hitting like George Sherrill. What are they, 2 for 23 lefties? And he's the Oriole closer.
Austin Kearns 2 for 3. Couple of excellent plays in the outfield. And Hendrickson gets a strike. Low in the zone on the inside corner.
Yeah, 86, maybe 88 on occasion. Big overhand curveball and a changeup.
And there's the change, 82. So Kearns having a breakout day of sorts with a couple of hits, and Adam Dunn certainly. Adam Dunn came into this game 6 for 36. It reached 6 for 38 before he hit that straightaway center home run in the 6th inning.
Bob and Rob, is he the type of guy, even though one of them was a check swing into short right center field, that he'll look at this as a positive?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
I agree.
And I think any hitter does. They're like pitchers. They know they're going through a rough time. They'll take a couple of cheapies and think, okay, now it's over.
I will tell you that during this rough streak, he hasn't hit many line drives right at people.
Yeah.
So he'll take whatever's happening out there that'll get him on first base.
That's what's so to me intriguing about the game is you'll be going into a series with a broadcaster, even a pitcher, and of course they you get to see all the video, but you'll go in and you'll talk to the hitting instructors and say, yeah, so and so, he's 3 for his last 27. He said, yeah, but he's hitting the ball hard all over the place. There's that big curveball, but apparently that's not the case with Kearns. And then of course for Mark Hendrickson to be effective, he's got to use all his pitches. And right there, the big overhead curveball from a 6'9" lefty.
Battle of the Beltways. And until the 5th inning today, I was calling it the battle of the belt tightening ERAs. But some offense here recently. We're all together. I think by now you know who we all are as the names scroll by. Thanks to Jim Hunter for stepping in for the 4.5 innings here. And it's Nieves with 1 out here in the 8th, and Will takes a fastball at the knees.
Well, starting in the 5th inning, you get a 2-run home run by Dunn. You get a 2-run home run by Jones, and then the grand slam by Allen. So home run power.
Yeah, the series we expected broke out, and it took till about 3 o'clock on Sunday. Will Nieves 1 for 3. In his 10 starts this year, he's hitting right around 330. He loves to hit the ball the other way. And he'll take it low. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Do you have the Yankees on your interleague schedule?
We go to New York right after a trip to Tampa Bay in about 2.5 weeks.
So I don't know if Posada or Molina will be back, both of them on the DL, but you're going to see Francisco Cervelli. And I was talking to Will the other day because they both came out of the Yankee organization. There's a BB up the middle, and he reminds me of a younger version, only 23 years old. He's done a terrific job for the Yankees. At Double-A right out of Trenton. So he can throw like Nieves, and he said I work with him a lot, and I guess they, in the minor leagues as he was coming up, talking about the young catcher for the Yankees. Having a pretty good afternoon.
Yeah, that's 2 for 4 for Will Nieves today. He's 15 for 53 now on the year in a reserve role, so he's going to be hitting about 280 at the end of the day. Here's Anderson Hernandez, who's had a pretty good return to the lineup as well after that smack to the helmet that Rob talked about the other night. Ill-conceived, ill-timed, and too well executed, I guess. Wish he would have missed. Will Nieves hitting 283 after that base hit.
Kind of funny, when my first pitching coach was Harry the Hat Burkeen. I mean, he was a terrific pitcher for the Cardinals. You know, he pitched with the Cardinals when he won 20 games in the minor leagues 3 times before he got called up to the big leagues with, the 8 and 9 man staffs back then. But Harry used to always say, if you're going to pick up your suitcase, son, do it with your opposite hand, not your pitching hand.
Hernandez goes the other way and slices one on a play.
I couldn't agree with that more.
So it's just amazing how easily it is when, whether it's a little temper tantrum or you kick something or whatever, to get hurt in this game.
Well, there have been a lot of guys that have hurt their arms literally trying to pick up suitcases. I know Joel Zamayo was trying to help his father move during the fires out in San Diego. He went to reach up and grab something. He hurt his shoulder. I know we're kind of fragile and brittle, but sometimes doing things you don't normally do on a baseball field is some of the worst things that can happen to you. I think Bobby Ojeda was cutting some bushes and he almost sliced off his finger. Got to be careful.
1-2 to Anderson Hernandez, an off-speed pitch, and he fouls it off.
I tell a lot of younger pitchers, I said, listen, that's your moneymaker. That's all you ever get. God gives you one arm. You cover it up. You don't go in the air conditioning without a long sleeve shirt on. You don't.
Well, I was on the Letterman show once, and
David, air conditioning. Oh, he keeps it cold in that studio.
But David Letterman said, "Are there any like old wives' tale, that you do when you're a pitcher and you take care of your arm?" And I said, "I don't know." He's going to ask me that question. I said, "Well, when you're going through toll booths, keep your arm inside the car." I mean, little subtle things like that.
That's a swing and a miss, but first base is occupied, so Hernandez will have to make a right turn. Monday on to New York, as Jim Hunter told you a little while ago, for the Nats, 7 o'clock on Mastin HD. John Lennon still trying to equalize his record. His ERA is good. 2-0, 2.55 his last 4 starts. John Maine, 3-3, 4.5 ERA for the Mets, but he is 6-2 career against the Nats. Jerry Manuel and company waiting for Washington, and the Mets took 2 of 3 from the Nationals up there last month. Jordan Zimmerman got a Sunday afternoon win to salvage one. 6:30, Johnny and Ray Nats extra, and the Orioles at 1:30 against the Blue Jays tomorrow. Birds everywhere at Camden Yards. Top of the order now, Willie Harris, and Willie's been on base 3 times.
Yeah, I told John Lennon I was glad he didn't pitch against the Orioles after the game that he pitched in Camden Yards last year. That kid can pitch.
Got a good head on his shoulders. Knows what he's doing. And the interesting thing, Jim, he's now like the senior member of all these starters with Scott Olsen out. And now you see Lannon getting on guys and putting his arm around some of the young guys. I mean, he was that kid just a year ago. But somebody's got to be the leader. Way outside, 2-1 to Willie Harris. Willie's on base average coming into this game, despite his .263 batting mark, was .403. He's another Nat who gets on base a lot. And a bouncer on a hop right to Aubrey Huff at the bag, and that's it for Washington. Top of the 9th coming up. Joel Hanrahan throwing, and Washington in a position to salvage one. brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. Well, maybe the Flowers need a little sprinkle here late in the afternoon, top of the 9th inning. Is it the final inning of the series? We'll find out. First, we'll update you on the voting for today's AT&T Player of the Game. And no real surprise here, Adam Dunn. Evidently, lots of votes from Texas today, 58%. Adam Jones, 13. Austin Kearns, 29. Austin Kearns, though, has had a good day. And, Rob, it's been with the glove and the body and the bat.
Well, whenever you'll give up your body for your team, you know he's a team guy. You saw him out there smash against the right field wall. Then he overruns the ball, and he gets jammed up against the wall right here. Watch his leg. So that's a scary moment, but he also did it with the wood. Got a couple of hits. Now it's up to Joel Hanrahan to get the final 3 outs.
Jones, Markakis, and Huff, 2, 3, and 4 for the Orioles. Hanrahan, I wouldn't call it a mop-up situation because it was a 2-1 game, but he pitched a scoreless 9th inning last night. Adam Jones is 1 for 3, hit by a pitch, a steal, a 2-run homer. Nationals trying to win only their 2nd game out of 11 on this homestand. Counts even 1-1.
Yeah, for Hanrahan, I mean, it's. I need to get him out. I need to make them put the ball in play, but I need to do it on my terms. And how does he do that? With his fastball. And again, you got to throw it over the plate.
Yeah, and a lot of times when he misses, I know Ray Knight's been alarmed by this in the past. Sometimes Joel will miss 2 or 3 feet with his fastball. And then come right back and throw a quality strike.
Well, that's just a release point issue, though. You know, sometimes you're trying to throw it so hard, you hold on to it a little bit longer, or you grip it a little bit tighter because you're just kind of choking it off a little bit, as a pitching coach would say. But
grip pressure is an important part of pitching that I think a lot of young pitchers don't realize. You don't want to grip it like with the death grip. You got to get it out in your fingertips. Middle of a World Series game in 1970, a day game in Cincinnati. I go in my windup, the ball slips out of my hand. Now that's very embarrassing, but at least I did not have the sawdust grip on the ball, where you're trying to go all the way to the cork center.
Oh, you were always long and loose and elongated. I mean, it was wonderful to watch you pitch. I choked off my slider because I didn't want to hang it. You know, when I wanted to strike out, I wanted to throw it in the dirt. I wanted to make sure it went 59.5 feet. And there's going to be no missing the plate.
Well, that's a perfect example. You were talking about sometimes Joel get in trouble with a slider. He threw a good one there. If you come back with a bad one, I would imagine Jones will react to it a lot better.
2-2 again.
Yep.
High gas upstairs for the first out.
Well, we were talking down on the field before we did our pregame, and Manny Actis said, boy, I'd really like to have a nice train ride up to New York. And I said, well, tell you what, it's the last game of a series. Orioles don't play too well. They're 2-12. They don't play well on Sundays. They're 0-6. And they don't play well in day games. And he said, whew, maybe we have a chance.
Well, you have to keep playing on Sundays.
I don't know if he talked to Adam Dunn about it, but Adam Dunn certainly must have known these numbers, too, with a grand slam and a 2-run shot. Because that changed the complexion of this game.
Yeah, and really, it's interesting you bring that up, Jim, because this is a ball club right now. They don't really afford just giving guys automatically a day off after a night game, because at some point in the series you have to win a ball game.
Oh yeah.
And Adam Dunn, you know, in a normal situation, Adam Dunn
wouldn't be playing
maybe
today.
Would have had the day off.
Absolutely.
Today.
Well, maybe we can thank Nick Johnson for that, because he gets the stomach distress or whatever you want to call it. He takes the day off, so he's not playing first base. Adam Dunn stays there. And then has, a career day, 6 RBIs, the most ever.
Never had that before.
How about Lazari? We were talking about when Bob Feller was up there. 25-2, the Yankees beat the A's, Philadelphia A's. 11 runs with a triple and 3 home runs. Pretty good afternoon.
Well, that's only 15 total bases in one day. And a strike by Hanrahan to Markakis. Nick Markakis is 1, make it 2 for 14 in this series.
But again,
3 RBIs, he's made his hits count.
But didn't you talk about it the last couple of days? He has hit some balls hard, as the Nationals do in regular. And right there, I mean, this is the heart of the lineup. I mean, these are the 3 best guys, and It all ends up with fastballs in the middle of the plate with great life and great velocity.
Well, and if this doesn't show you as a pitcher that you could throw it by anybody, these are some of the better hitters in the American League that he's just running a 95-mile-an-hour heater right by, making them look bad. There's no reason to get beat with your second or third best pitch.
And this is the Joel Hanrahan the Nationals have been waiting for. Of all things, a 1-2-3 top of the ninth inning save, and Washington salvages a game of this Interleague series, and for historical purposes, after